What up, man? Yeah. Bearded conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in. The world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge it. Off the block, giving it back. Bearded conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in. The world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge us. Damn. Got it off the block, forming a dynasty from a rock. Laid back in the cut, press play, can't get enough. Yo, let's chop it up in every location. A bearded conversation, opportunity keep knocking like child support payments. Started from the bottom like basements, now we famous. Podcast official, the topic will probably hit you from a distance like a pistol. Subscribe so you can listen to survival of the fittest. We talking it how we living it. Rolling like a dealership, managing several businesses. T-shirts, podcast, no you don't need a membership. Just follow us on YouTube, knowledge supreme infinite. Chicago got us dipping excited, let's talk about it. Going live, check your notifications so you can holler. Or leaving in the comments, debate it, just being honest. Chicago topics, worldwide views, we supersonic. Big Angus Conga, circle back round like every week. Tell a friend off the block, it's where we meet. Bearded conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in. The world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge us. Got it off the block, giving it back to hood lovers. Bearded conversation, homie, tap in. Why you hating? You already know we locked in. The world's greatest. Broadcasting live and they love it, but don't judge us. Got it off the block, giving it back. Come on. The hood lovers, off the block, giving it back. The hood lovers, broadcasting live. Off the block, giving it back. Bearded conversation off the block, giving it back. Bearded conversation off the block, giving it back. Bearded conversation off the block, giving it back.
Yo. Welcome to another episode of, excuse me, welcome to another episode of Bearded Conversation, man. Toxiq Tuesday, we in the bed. How everybody doing? How is everybody doing? First and foremost, y'all know how I like to start off every show. Let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. Once again, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. And lastly, family, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views and meditations. That's people we come in contact with on a daily basis, people we're cordial with, our families, our extended families, and more especially our Bearded Conversation family. Secondly, y'all, excuse me, don't forget to master these 5 key components of life. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And one last time, family, that's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And don't forget the most important part about that, man. That's that glue that hold everything together. That's that support. So don't forget to sprinkle a little support on top, man, because a little support go a long way. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? And listen, man, if it don't work out, well, first of all, try it. You know what I'm saying? And second of all, if it don't work out, come on back, man, and maybe we can talk about it and see what we're wrong and what's happening and what's going on. You feel me? Hit that like button as you come in, family. Hit that like button as you come in. Most definitely hit that like button as you come in. Big shout out to my co-hosts who ain't never in the building, the Hell Boogie, Roscoe P, and my co-hosts with the mostest, my little one, AJ. Love you, son. Leo gang, man. Happy birthday to all the Leos out there. Happy birthday. To all my Leos, man. Happy birthday to my son, turned 6. Happy birthday to my twins, they turned 20. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And happy birthday to my little bro. You feel me? He ain't no longer with us, but goddammit, he in spirit. You feel me? But yeah, man, you know, just big shout out to all the Leo gangs, man. So let's do this before we get started. I want to play the second part of the interview that took place yesterday. I played the first part of the interview with the boys yesterday. So I want to play the second part of the interview. Matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll play both parts and I'll just play them back to back. I was just going to play the second part, but you know, I'm going to run them back to back. Again, you know, so we can just go over and talk, sit back and adjust. This is an open platform, open forum, open panel. If anybody want to come in, talk about anything, you're more than welcome to free. All I ask that you just be respectable in the chat. So let's get started. So the thoughts, views, and opinions of Bearded Conversations are the thoughts, views, and opinions of me right now. The thoughts, views, and opinions of Bearded Conversation are the thoughts, views, and opinions of me right now. I don't mean to hurt, to harm, or to offend. I don't mean to hurt, to harm, or to offend. This video stream is for informational, educational, and edutainment purposes only. Once again, this video stream is for informational, educational, and edutainment purposes only, with the underlying and undertone on edutainment, so we do emphasize and stress edutainment. Please do not take any advice given, anything said, or anything shown on this video stream for face value without consulting a proper professional that suits your specific needs. Please do your due diligence. Please do your proper web work and research. And like I always say, don't forget to get that second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth opinion. You feel me? Because we don't want you going out here robbing no bank, starting no revolts, telling your boss what he or she can take and how they can turn it sideways and where to put it. With that being said, well, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? You know what I'm saying? I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's doing well. Also, man, hit that super chat, man. Help the channel grow. Support the channel. Hit that super chat. Or you can hit that link. Buy me a coffee link that's in the chat. Matter of fact, let me do this. So I'm finna pin that link. So if you want to support, like I say, you get the cash app scrolling at the bottom, hit the super chat, or you guys can hit the message spent at the top, which is to buy me a coffee link. You know what I'm saying? Buy your boy a coffee. I like it black with a breakfast bagel sandwich in the morning. You hear me? But yeah, support, man. You know, that's how, you know, small channels, big channels, that's how we keep this thing going, man. You know, we got to support each other. Most definitely, most definitely, most definitely. Big Stacks, what up, my boy? What's going on with you tonight, Big Stacks? How you feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling? Everybody, man, how y'all feeling, man? It's a chill type of night, man. You feel me? It rain. Man, you know, the knock down trees. Seem like every time it rain, nature just falling apart, man. One of my guys sent me a video. I'm talking about that every tree on the block pulled up from the roots to concrete. I say, damn, man, here in Indiana, you know what I'm saying? I walked my dog earlier. Nothing but trees. Nothing but trees. It's, man, you know, we talk about, you know, we get up here, we want to, and I'm sorry for the misspelling. That's Tasia, not Tasha. But yeah, man, you know, we talk about the Nolan Wells case. We talk about the Tasia Fortune case and things like that. You know, we get into the wars, we get into the Trumps, we get into, you know, a lot of the bad things that's, you know, happening in the world right now. But we got to be cautious of nature as well, man. What's going on, Nova? How you feeling tonight, my boy? How you feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling? We got to be cautious of nature as well. I know it's a lot of other things going on out here in the world, you know, that we want to primarily put our focus on and that we want to try to, you know what I'm saying, get up to speed on. But, man, you know, nature is important, man. Nature is important and it can also be dangerous. I just hope, you know, during the rainy time, during this rainy season well, it ain't really the rainy season, but wherever you at, if you're getting a lot of rain and stuff like that with the thunder and blackouts and stuff, I just heard somebody say their power was out. But man, these trees are starting to just fall apart, come over. And it's not even that windy outside. That's the thing. So why are these trees, you know what I'm saying, tilting over out the ground from the roots? He said, good, big fact. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, why are these trees falling over from the roots? Now, again, I'm not, you know, a person who studies the earth or anything like that. You feel me? And I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Don't claim that to be my expertise. But I just want us to be aware. Like yesterday, I asked a question, you know what I'm saying? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? You know, as far as so, and just food for thought, just, you know, my opinion. Do anybody ever think that the things that we do and the energy that we bring into the world, because everything is energy, everything is matter, everything is atoms, everything is electric, right? Have anyone ever thought about, you know what I'm saying, that the negative, you know what I'm saying, energy that we project out into the world, do we ever think about how that impacts the universe as a whole? You know, I don't know if you guys heard about the mycelium connection. How everything is connected. Of course, the electromagnetic field and things like that. And, we're supposed to be made up of the things, same thing that's made up, in outer space. And this with the black matter, antimatter that they're trying to find to, figure out how to sustain human life, or if that's how what they believe that's how human life started, this antimatter, this dark matter, with the hadron collider that they that's in CERN, that they trying to capture this energy. You feel me? Like, do we realize that, some of the things that we do, even though we don't think that inherently or innately that we're doing bad things or the wrong thing, right? Because we could say that's a good thing, but just what about the bad things that we do, the negative energy, the killings, the unalivings, just the hate, the disdain that we have for one another. That energy, man, resonates, and that energy goes into the universe, and that energy gets into the soil, that energy gets into the concrete, that energy gets into the space. You feel me? And negative energy, negative on negative usually, turns out to be positive energy. But the negative energy that we put out, if it's in emptiness and there's no other energy connecting to it, that bad energy can, if it's not connecting the right way, them two negative charges can implode and blow shit up. I just think we need to step back and, just calm down, man, and really, you feel me, understand what's going on, man. What up, G? Lil Trial. What up, G? What's happening with you, my boy? Shit, chilling, man. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Up here trying to get the people, something good to put on their minds. You feel me? A little fat, You know what I'm saying? I personally believe fat meat is greasy. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? Because the grease comes from the fat. That's what get the food is in the meat, this flavor. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man, just trying to put something on the people's head, man. You feel me? Coming out, man. Like I say, man, it's a chill type of night. We've been running up this content, man, with this Nolan Wells and things like that, and just having good conversation and discussion, bro. You feel me? Good to see you. Glad to see you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely, man. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure when you were in the building, my boy. Hit that like button for me though, Chad. Hit that like button, man. Run them likes up for me. But yeah, man, this negative energy, man, that we putting out here, man, it's fucked up, bro. We gotta change, bro. We gotta do something fast. You know what I'm saying? Real fast. When I say fast, I mean like right now, today fast. We can't keep this shit up. We most definitely can't keep this up, man. You know what I'm saying? And again, of course, it might not have nothing to do with nothing, but nature is a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you. And if you think you don't have nothing to do with nature, you understand me, as being a human, you're wrong. And that's when we get into this metaphysical side of the game. You feel me? Like, and I know a lot of people, would say, oh man, that metaphysical shit is pseudo and da 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 da. And I know, listen, I know a lot of motherfuckers just say that voodoo shit is pseudo. But then again, it's the devil, and it's listen, man, listen. People just, if you don't understand something, it's okay for. Well, I'm not gonna say it's okay, but I know why people have the opinions and ideologies that they have about shit that they don't know and that they don't understand. You feel me? And that's quite all right. I was just having a conversation with a brother today. It was a good conversation. It kind of turned a little off the band, but then we brought it back, and I'm glad we was able to bring it back. You feel me? He got a little bit emotional, you know what I'm saying? And aggressive and shit like that. But you know what I'm saying? After that, we had a good conversation, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? But and that's crazy, man, that brothers and sisters, man, you feel me? We ain't gonna, I don't even want that mankind, the human race, that we can't have pliable and plausible conversations about any and everything above the sun without somebody getting aggressive, mad, and in their feelings and emotional. You know what I'm saying? And being ignorant. You feel me? But man, I know that's the way of the world, man. That's how it be. But you know what I'm saying? But we worked it out though, man. You feel me? And listen, I ain't gonna even lie. I kind of got, you know what I'm saying, out my body a little bit too, because as an individual, you feel me, when you show me that aggression, you feel me, shit, it's just my human nature to show you that aggression back. But I wasn't as aggressive. You feel me? And I was able to, tone it down, calm it down, and just walk it off and come back to it. You know what I'm saying? The brother apologized to me. I apologized to that brother. You feel me? And guess what? Even if I didn't have to apologize or there was no need for me to apologize, I still did it. You know what I'm saying? Just to ease the, the tension. And then we had a good conversation afterwards. You feel me? And I didn't even know this brother for Adam. You know what I'm saying? But Yeah, man. Life is life, man. Life is life, man. You feel me? Life is life, but it's gonna get greater, man. You feel me? It's gonna get greater. But let's get into this. Because I know I'm babbling right now, and I'm just talking about my day and what happened. I thought I lost my dog and shit. You feel me? But I found him. Man. But let's get to the second part of this Nolan Wells interview with Officer Tatum. And then I want to play a few other videos about white liberals and him trying about he want to sue people and shit like this and that and the third. You know what I'm saying? We might not have a long stream, but we're gonna try to get it in and get on out. You feel me? But let's get to this second part. So what I'm about to show you guys is the second part of the interview that we watched yesterday. This is the second part of the Officer Tatum interview that we watched yesterday with the young men. Well, Warren is one of the young men that was on the boat, and then I think this is a coach. I don't know if this coach was one of the coaches that saw him on the island, but let's listen, let's check it out, and y'all tell me what y'all think. Let's get into it.
I mean, why would we call the Coast Guard? Why would we do the things we did if we know we killed somebody? You don't hear about the pool party because it was on June 27th. You don't hear about anything else that was mentioned. Thousands of lies. And now, the audio comes back, and all of a sudden we can hear Nolan yelling in the background, screaming, we're screaming about how he's dead. That's just a complete lie.
If you just murdered your best friend on an island, the dumbest thing you could do would be.
First of all, didn't nobody say they heard Nolan? They heard y'all. They heard a young lady saying, "Oh my God," and they heard other voices talking about the situation. And again, the audio was not clear enough for me per se to say that I can definitively say that that's what they said, right? So, but what I want to take from the audio is the "Oh my God," because I heard that clearly. I heard the "Damn it, Bart." I heard that clearly. And that could have meant that, and that could have meant anything, and that could have been anything. So again, I don't want to necessarily say that was, you know what I'm saying, a determining factor on if I did think Bart had anything to do with the unaliving of Nolan Wells. We also distinctively heard and clearly heard the operator talking to the captain, and the captain telling the operator that he had just got off the phone with the grandfather. And I think that is just super, super, super suspicious because if I was sinking, the first thing that I was doing while I'm out there having fun with my peoples, I'm not calling my grandfather, right? Because I'm thinking I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm just saying, I'm thinking as a child right now. You feel me? I ain't trying to get in trouble. Let me see if I can fix this problem before motherfucker get up on me. Then I ain't gonna be able to get this boat and shit no more. Yada yada yada. Whatever. But then again, we don't know the way they live. Oh, grandpa fucked up your $1 million boat. Da 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 da. Yeah. Okay, kid. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying that, but because motherfuckers get mad, bro. Whatever. I don't know how much money I got, man. You mess up something, man, I'm have a problem with it, right? But again, to that audio, you feel me? I heard, "Oh my God," I heard "Damn it, Bart," and then I distinctively heard everything that was said between the young lady and the captain. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to take from the audio, because any and everything else that could have been, you know what I'm saying, edited or changed or has some digital fingerprints implemented into it, or whatever the case may be, or distorted due to the trying to make it due to trying to, you know what I'm saying, make the clarity of the audio better, which again, like I say, I can't tell, you know what I'm saying? But alibi, you feel me? If anything, and then if you got a dead person on a boat and you calling the CEDO, man, you ain't, I don't need the Coast Guard, just come told me. And 9 times out of 10, bro, like I say, the captain knew your damn grandfather, or you know what, and I'm not gonna say he knew the grandfather. I'm gonna say he was just on the phone with the grandfather. 9 times out of 10, this is a small town, small state. Everybody know everybody. So it wasn't like they was finna come on a boat. They was just gonna tow you, get you to where you need to be, and that was it.
You call the Coast Guard.
What is your thoughts on that phone call to Cito? Some people have gone out and done enhancements to the audio, and in doing that, created a transcript manually.
Now, what I don't agree with is him saying people like. So I don't know the process, right, of what the young lady did to this audio. You feel me? But she stated what she did to this audio. So what I would like to happen is that I would like for Cito or whoever that the original recorded audio, because I know they have it in their archives. I need them to give that original recorded audio to an audio specialist that's in the FBI or that's in the police department, and I want them to try to enhance the audio. You feel me? And to do the things that this audio engineer, that this young lady said that she did. And I want to see, what I'm saying, if they can match up or come up with the same things. I want them to run it through the same. First, I wanted them to do it that way, and then I wanted to run it through the process that she ran it through. And I want to see what type of clarity can we get, and what I'm saying, do a comparative analysis between the two audios. What I'm saying, or the three audios. We can start there. See, this is what I'm saying, man. There's a lot of ways to get past a lot of this speculation or what a court of public opinion, what I'm saying, as people like to say. It's a lot of ways to get around a lot of the things that's being said, man. And a lot of this shit is just logical.
In that clip, I mean, he's on the phone. Wouldn't you think that you would have seen no one on the bottom on the floor or something, or scrambling around, or everybody in a small space on the boat looking at him or something? I mean, it's just so.
You give me one and you name it. You feel me? Would not. How can we be sure that this is the clip
of the boat when Wyatt was on the phone with Cito? And it is boldly clear that Nolan was not on the phone with us. You can literally almost see down to the deck. And as you can see in that picture, everybody is completely casual while Wyatt's on the phone with Cito. Yeah, we were scrambling around trying to get the boat fixed, but the guys were, in the video, you'd see me, I'm sitting on the bow. If there was someone dying on the boat, why would everybody just be sitting there waiting to either get towed in, or in the first place, like Jack said, why would Wyatt call Cito? It's crazy. The reason we turned down Coast Guard is, why would we call Coast Guard if Cito could pull us in? But we fixed the boat.
Man, listen to the way he pausing and giving his explanation, man. He trying to be very careful about what he say. And that's why they only letting him talk. The other little boy, he'll speak something. Like, I ain't heard the one in the white t-shirt say shit yet. And we
ran into Fort Bayou, and that's it. The Cito call was completely enhanced, and these people just want to believe what they want to hear. And that's exactly what they're doing. So it's just crazy to me that people have tried to twist this and twist the audio. When we came out with the first interview, it debunked half these lies, and now you don't hear about any of it. You don't hear about the pool party because it was on June 27th. You don't hear about anything else that was mentioned. Thousands of lies. And now, the audio comes back, and all of a sudden we can hear.
Then he talking about some debunking. I could have sworn that the man parent said that Bart wasn't even nowhere around during that week, right? You feel me? He didn't pop up until the week of the 4th. So if he wasn't around, how was he in the picture at the pool party? Can y'all explain that? See, that's what I'm saying, man. It's just a lot of bullshit, a lot of debunking. He didn't debunk anything. Like, again, you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm going to tell you, man, like, I've been struggling. Like, my little brother died. My little brother's birthday was yesterday, man. It was on the 10th. You feel me? Like, bro, it's been years, bro. I still struggle with that shit sometimes, you feel me? Because I miss him. I might randomly just, you feel me, break out or break down or some shit, bro. This is your best friend, bro. Y'all been knowing since 7th, 8th grade, all this shit, bro. And you mean to man, stop this shit. Now, don't get me wrong. People do express they feel, but something, I need a minute or something, get myself back something. This is bullshit.
You're Nolan yelling in the background, screaming, we're screaming about how he's dead. That's just a complete lie. And it's another lie to push this narrative that people don't want to turn down. It's insane to me.
Sorry to interrupt. I know you're enjoying this incredible interview. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe.
And I will say, again, I'm not accusing them of doing anything. That's not what I'm saying. So I'm not saying what I'm saying on the back end to accuse them of doing anything malicious. You know what I'm saying? Only thing that I'm saying, just like me just going over and looking at and just hearing, the things that's being said, and not through the public, but just in the media and things that's coming out. I watch a few people, talk about this. Other content creators talk about this and disband the audio engineer and said he's the audio engineer, and he talks about how she was lying. And I'm on the other, channels. Again, I played Lakeisha Keisha. Big shout out to her when she was talking about it. I watched Tisha Tales. I just started, because I really didn't even know who she was. So I started watching her content. And again, even with her content, it's okay. And again, you know, it's okay to speculate. It's okay to, you know, think whatever you want to think. But again, you know, so, and it's crazy because I gotta know this. We gotta know this as melanated individuals. We know due process, and the process that they do to find out things about us isn't going to be the same as if they find out about them, right? So you can only hope and want the law to be, you know, because we know it ain't equal, right? But I don't want to come up here and just tell y'all, oh, fuck that, we know this, that, or the third, and we know they ain't go, because then I'll be pushing that same narrative, and then I'll be starting the uproar, and I'll be contributing to, you know what I'm saying, the chaos and mayhem. And I don't want to do that, you know, but what I do want people to understand is that, you know, we have history, we have things that we can see and justify on why we feel and believe and experience the things that we do. You feel me? That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to, other than that, I'm not going to get on here and say, oh man, you know, and then Hood, just after Nolan Wells, you feel me? We come with the Tasia Fortune, who got unalive in Mississippi, and we'll get into that later. And shit, that ain't even getting no coverage.
One thing to naysayers out there, in your opinion, that are naysayers, I want to give you, I don't know, a 30-second opportunity to say what you would want to say to people regarding what you're saying on lies that have been told about you. And I could start here and we'll go all the way down to, and we'll end with you, Ed. But Morgan, if you had an opportunity to have this projected to everybody in the United States of America, many people who have made statements about you and about what occurred that day, what would you say to them? Like just a 30-second, this is what you would want to convey.
I mean, first I would say that, I mean, it's proven in evidence that they're all lies. I think that most of these people are just going to, I say most of these people, a lot of these people that have posted stuff out there, they've just been lies backed by no evidence. And if I had one thing to say to them, I'd say, do your research before you go out saying something that's not true, that could hurt someone. Just do your research. I mean, it's easy. All you have to do is just scroll like they do all day long and find the evidence that's right in front of their face. And I mean, it'll prove its own facts.
I could say I would want to add on to that, do the proper research. Sort through all the lies. I mean, and a lot of these stuff, like you can just tell straight off the bat it's lies. And for one, it's defaming us. And for two, it makes you look like a dummy. I mean, like, you're just saying stuff, just pulling it out of who knows where. And you just look like an idiot on your phone, making this TikTok or whatever. Do your research, man. Like, if you can't simply do that, don't get on your phone and start making a video.
It's just kind of concerned me with like how people have the time of day to just make up complete lies out of something that they have no evidence of and to post on social media to put other people down. It's insane to me, like how like just people push this and, you know, want to make this a story that it's absolutely not. I don't know what happened to Nolan. My friends don't know what happened to Nolan. But for people to come around and say, oh, this happened for a fact, and I know this.
Excuse me, grand evening to everybody in the building. Grand evening to everybody in the building, man. Hit that like button. This is the second part of the interview that Officer Tatum is conducting with Warren and two other young men and Coach Cox.
And there's no telling me otherwise. Then that's just stupid. You have no, like, half these people that are saying all these crazy things on the internet, those lies have already been debunked. There's evidence supporting this is a lie. Like, why are you still saying this? These people just have no idea what they're talking about. And it's very clear because a lot of these people just speak without thinking and post stuff without thinking. But at the end of the day, it just looks really stupid on their page and whatever they're posting on. But it's just sad. Like, people really take the time out of their day to post a bunch of BS lies on a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds who have never done anything to hurt anyone and, loved their friend. Like, I love that man more than anybody. And like, so did all of my friends. And it's absolutely horrible that these people want to come on and push this narrative that we had something to do with this or we killed our best friend. It's just sick to me, Brandon. That's it.
Yeah.
Well,
I ain't one time heard nobody say that was his best friend, but this man.
might be too long, but I have a few things I need to add. First of all, with respect to Warren, If you just murdered your best friend on an island, the dumbest thing you could do would be to call the Coast Guard, to call a federal law enforcement agency and tell them, hey, can you guys go out and check out this island and look for Nolan Wells? Well, that's exactly what Warren did. Warren called the Coast Guard. And that is one of many very compelling facts. He got back and he called the Coast Guard. Does that sound like a guilty man to you? All right, now these are all American young men, incredible young men. And they did a lot more than just that.
Hey, man. Hey. What? Oh, my goodness, man. Listen to the coach pad. Oh, these are American young men.
I won't go through all of it now, but they did a lot of heroic things after the fact. And they did the best they could. And they tried for their dear friend. All of their actions are the actions of innocent men, not guilty men. And again, they are categorically, completely, and totally innocent. All right, but that's not the end of it. I'll say this again. If you lied, you won't be able to hide. If you lied, you won't be able to hide. And you're going to be held accountable. And if you lied about these fine young men, these good Ocean Springs people, you're going to be held accountable. You're going to be sued. I tell you, there are going to be lawsuits because we have already identified some of the worst offenders. And it may have felt good for them in the moment, instant gratification, sugar high. They got their sugar high. But long after that sugar high wears off, they're going to find themselves in court, and it's going to be excruciatingly painful. The only thing I can say about that is it won't be quite as painful as what they did to Morgan, Jax, and Warren.
So Ed, I got one question for you, because the way you guys articulate the defamation, obviously, if someone puts out online lies, knowingly and intentionally do them, knowing that they're lies, in part, that's a part of the defamation. But is the racial component, because when someone goes out and says things without evidence, projecting that this was a racial encounter, is that a part of this defamation, or does that not count as far as your tactics on defending them or defending their honor, I guess, in this situation?
Well, one thing that we're never going to do is we're never going to speculate, and we're never going to guess like some other folks who got their sugar highs and are sucking up all the oxygen in the room for now, and they'll have their day in court. But we can talk about what might motivate people. And I won't talk about any particular people because I am not inside their head right now. But I can tell you that racism for profit is a major factor here. And we don't have to name names. But racism for profit, generating outrage for profit. In the end, it's all about money. And we don't even have to think about whether the racism that these people are talking about is real or fake or anything like that. It's racism for profit. And it's part of the motive. But when you have offenders who defame innocent young men, fine innocent young men, upstanding young men, it might be a constellation of motives. Profit, animus, stupidity, ignorance. Maybe they just don't like evidence. See, we really like evidence here. Tyler Cox really likes evidence. I really like evidence. Morgan, Jax, Warren, we really like evidence. And that's the difference between the other guys and us. And we have evidence. We have the receipts. We have the goods. And we're going to be presenting it in court. And I will say, once we present it in court, we're going to say, now you can't leave.
Do you think that the other side, because I've seen through social media that there's a preparation of lawsuits against the boys. Is there merit, according to your knowledge in this space, is there merit to pursuing lawsuits against them?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because I can answer that question definitively and unequivocally. Anybody who sues Jax, Warren, or Morgan, they're going to end up paying our attorney's fees. Guaranteed. Any lawsuit, and I'm going to warn anyone right now, anybody who is thinking for 1 second about suing these fine young men, these good Ocean Springs people, you're going to pay their attorney's fees. You're going to lose. You're going to get annihilated. You're going to get crushed. You have nothing. And here's the beauty of it. We know you have nothing because we actually have the evidence. We know what happened. And I'll just say it like this. We have a pair of aces and you have 2-7 offsuit.
So with all the negative that's going on, obviously there's been positive that I've seen that have come y'all's direction. I felt like when Warren came out and did the interview the first time, of course, a lot of people decided to say a lot of negative things, but then there's a tremendous amount of people that were very supportive and thankful that they had a chance to hear the other side. So what are y'all's thoughts and feelings on the other side of this, where people have been supportive? You know, kind of what are your thoughts on that? What have you experienced in that area?
I want to start off and just say that has helped us tremendously through this. One, mentally knowing that there are people on our side that are here to help and want to help and are actually helping with the online stuff. And I want to say thank you to everybody who has made a video on the positive side of things and showing the actual facts and debunking a lot of false information and giving to the Gifts and Go. Yeah, that's another really big one. Thank you so much for that. Giving to the Gifts and Go. That means a lot, more than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, Morgan.
I just want to say thank you to all the people out there. I mean, I personally went through and looked at all the like. There's a prayer thing you can say a prayer on there, and I personally went through and looked at all the prayers, and I'm just really appreciative of all the people that I know that have our backs and have supported us through all of this. It's really helped us out.
That's great.
You know, obviously I want to give thanks. My friends and my family really appreciate it. I mean, it's hard to get by every day without having a group of people behind you. And it really helps my friend and I's, especially like mental side of things, you know, knowing that we have a community behind us that is willing to stand for us and stand for the truth. And, you know, we can't thank them enough. Like, seriously, with, you know, like Morgan said, the prayers and just even the money and the Gifts and Go. It's just,
I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry, got a little sidetracked. John Blaze, what's up? John Blaze says you can't sue someone who is broke because you're not going to get any money from them. Jamal, he said that's the caucasity. What's going on, John Blaze? Jamal, what's going on? Chris Angel says they are trying to change the narrative. Jamal, he said, what the fuck are you talking about? Chris, is the phone recording not considered evidence? Edward, what's going on, Edward? He say, sue the fuck out of this guy, man. Chris says they're attempting to distract from the main thing, which is finding out what happened to Nolan, rather that flipping it into a different topic. And you know, well, Warren was the only one that really truly spoke throughout this whole freaking interview. That even the first part, I played the first part yesterday, and I'm playing the second part today. And then the coach is really killing me. Like he really killing me. Jamal said they just admitted right there we have the evidence. He said keep talking Caucasian arrogance. Right. And then again, like, man, you know what? I'm gonna let y'all do it. You say sue him, Edward? Edward a fool. Man, big ups to everybody in the chat tonight. Big ups. He say sue the fuck out of Willie D. What Willie D do? Why you don't like Willie D, Edward? Why you don't like Willie D? You feel me? Why you don't like Willie? He say, I don't care what they say, facts are that they lied, not just once, 10 times already. Look at Edward, who lied. Edward, hey, listen, Edward, you can hit the link, man, and come up here and tell me how you feel and how you think. He said they know what they did. Now, mind you, you know, again, I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? He said he drowned. I'm not going to sit up here and say, you know, that they did anything or that they didn't do anything, right? Because I wasn't there on that trip. You know, of course, we can always formulate guesstimate, you know what I'm saying, and figure out, you know what I'm saying, what could have possibly happened. You feel me? More than likely what happened, feel me, due to the fact, you know what I'm saying? And then people like to say, oh, well, you can't say because they was in Mississippi. You can say. Look, we got a young lady by the name of Taser Fortune who was bound by her hands behind her head and hung from a tree. And I'm not saying that a person of European descent did this. We don't know who did this to this young lady. You feel me? She was 29 and she was found behind the house. Anybody could have done it, right? Just like even if he drowned out there, you feel me? So Edward, I challenge you this. How did he drown and no one seen nothing? It's the question. So that wasn't. I don't think that was. You say, why did Bart's father counsel the morning to go out to Horn Island? See, I don't know. I don't know why his father chose not to go. That's something that we don't know. That's something that we don't.
It's a blessing from the Lord, and we can't thank everybody enough. Seriously, it's been more than enough. So
Ed, what are your thoughts on this? I know you see the outpouring of support for the boys. I know that obviously with your credentials, you're taking on this case, which is a huge undertaking, representing multiple young people, and it's with so many people that you have mentioned that could be and possibly going to get sued in this. So what would you like to say to the people about this?
Well, the most important thing is that these three outstanding young men who are completely innocent are worth standing behind. It's worth standing behind them. It's worth supporting them, because these three gentlemen here, they're going to go out into the world and they're going to do incredible things for society, right? These are three young men who want to help people and who are going to help people. They're just wonderful souls, wonderful human beings. So if you want someone to support, if you're looking for someone to support, and if you're looking for people who tell the truth and like evidence and common sense, you should support these guys, not the other guys who traffic and lies. All right. Now there's a Give, Send, Go page, right? Those donations are very important. We have an incredible legal team. I'm very, very privileged to be working with Tyler Cox, called Cox. Right. So, but we're going to be bringing powerhouse lawsuits, absolutely powerhouse. But, right, it does require support. It requires support, and any support is greatly appreciated. But there are also things that people can do that have nothing to do with money. All we're asking people to do is embrace reality, embrace common sense, and don't give in to your worst impulses. Do the research. Read. Look at the evidence, right? Start judging credibility. And look at the respective motivations, the motives.
Right. Now, okay, yeah, Chris, I remember that. Yeah. Well, when he was just getting interviewed by himself, he did state that Bart said that his father wasn't going out, and he asked him could he bring his boat out, and he said yeah, he could bring his boat out. Yeah, because he already had one hooked up. Yeah. You're right. I remember that.
On both sides, right? On one side, you have some folks who maybe are not motivated by such great things. But what we have on our side and why you should support us, one word for you. My favorite word, which is virtue. We've got virtue. All right. We've got the honesty. We've got the integrity. Right. We're doing the right thing here. Honesty, integrity. That's us. Honesty, integrity, and the truth. And those are very high virtues. And that's why you should support these incredible young men.
Well, thank you guys for agreeing to do an interview. I really, the purpose, and I think you guys can agree to this or lament to it, that the purpose is just to get the message out there. I'm not an investigator in this case. I've done this for a living for a very long time. I know when people are lying and when they're not. And I want the world to know the only reason I'm even willing to talk to you guys is because you've shown through evidence that you've shown me and also through your character.
Hey man, that's bullshit, man. I believe every police officer some shit run that shit. They all, it's shit. Even people say that, man. I've been dealing with fucked up motherfuckers for the longest. Man, I know. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you can't be, you feel me, a fairly decent judge of, certain individuals, characters and, how they move and what they do. But, sometimes shit, you can be wrong, and I'm not saying that he's wrong in this case, but that's just a broad statement to make. You feel me? If you asking others not to partake in the public court of opinion, you shouldn't make statements like that. You know what I'm saying? That's just in my opinion. You feel me? Because I believe that's a broad, you know what I'm saying, categorical, subjective statement that he made. Yeah.
That you guys are trustworthy and you're at least in good faith telling me your side of the story. And so I just want to say thank you guys for doing the interview and good luck.
Thank you.
You just watched part 2 of an incredible interview. I know that you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoy real journalism, and if you liked it, make sure you hit the like, subscribe. Also, make sure you check out part 3 that's coming up tomorrow. I'll see you there.
So, and we will be checking out part 3 that's coming up. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow we will be on top of the part 3. All right, here we go.
I remember the 80s so clearly. The clothes, the music.
Oh man, what you say? I said what evidence? He says Bart father, who is Dr. Wright. Yeah. That's the he's supposedly the what is he, a sports specialist or something like that? For injury or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I do know that they said he's a sports specialist, from my understanding. Right. Let me do this. And I want to play something from T. Even though I really don't rock with TMZ no more, man. You feel? Well, I never did, honestly. You guys, I never did really rock with TMZ, and this is my first time even, you know what I'm saying, getting notice of Officer Tatum. You feel me? You say I don't trust Professor Cole. You know, and also, you know, he was the director of urban affairs at USA Turning Point. It's crazy. Here we go, Boris Vilas. You still come pick me up, Boris. I told you come pick me up, man. I'll most definitely get on that boat with you. You know what I'm saying? The single and celibate one. What's going on, Goddess? How you feeling tonight? Their overall body language gives suspect. Not just necessarily the overall body language, man, just the telltale sign of I don't even know who the other 2 boys are, right? I don't even know what they got to do with it, because the names that were supposedly and allegedly his friends, and I hate that they keep saying. Well, I'm not going to say use the word. Hey, I don't like the fact that they keep saying friends. But Warren, Wyatt, where's Wyatt? Wyatt went in the Cantella, or whoever, whatever you pronounce his name, and I apologize because I don't have all their names in front of me to, you know what I'm saying, pronounce them correctly. But these other 2 boys, I don't even know who they are. So I don't even know the significance of what they have, you know what I'm saying, to even do with the case. And this coach that's supposedly seen the young man Nolan Wells between 2:30. Well, yeah, he said between 2:30 and 3:30. Is this the same coach to Coach Cox? It might, I don't know. I think it is. This is the coach that said he seen them on the island or whatever the case may be. But to you, Chris, I don't know what significance Bart father would have in this case. Just because. And listen again, y'all. Don't beat me up. You know, I'm not saying you feel me. All I'm saying is that just because he didn't want to go, don't mean that he has something to do with anything. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe he didn't want to go because he knew, or you can insinuate maybe he didn't want to go because he knew that they were trying to take Nolan and he didn't want to be part. You can say that. But again, we can't say that because I don't know. So what significance is it that you have about the father? He said Bart's father is covering up for his son. Bart father is covering. And guess what? I think a lot of parents and a lot of people would probably do the same thing. I'm assuming, of course, I don't know. Italian man, what's going on? How you feeling today, brother? Yes, I do travel. Yes, sir, I do travel. I've been plenty of places. Watch Tristan. He said, watch, Tristan is going to wind up there next. I don't know, Chris. I don't know, man. I don't know. As long as he keep his mouth closed and he play his part, you feel me? He should be okay. He should be okay. He's really what I think. EJ, you say really what you think? So you asking me really what I think? If you asking me really what I think, hit my email and I'll tell you really what I think. You feel me? Hit the email and I'll tell you really what I think. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but of course, anybody will cover for their son. You feel me? That's facts. Come on, man. We know that. We know that. I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying? I know any listen, any self-respecting parent, I guess. Look, if you want to call it that, that's what we gonna say. Any self-respecting parent is gonna cover up for their child. You know what I'm saying? Of course, any respecting parent will want to cover up for their child. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of whatever the circumstance is. You know what I'm saying? I believe that. I believe that. I believe that. You say he's already effed up. He's going to be missing very soon. But see, I don't know what Trayston did. You feel me? Trayston, you know, we played this interview as well. And again, that was just ridiculous. So, you know, I definitely don't know. I definitely don't know what he did. Well, let's get into this TMZ.
The gun in the hands of the man who did pull the trigger that night in Vegas 30 years ago. Now, as you mentioned, you know, Tupac was in the car, but in the passenger seat. The person who was driving the car was Suge Knight, head of Death Row Records. And, you know, most.
Now, and with this, well, they supposed to be talking about Nolan, but we're gonna watch this. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna stomach through this. I don't know nothing about this Tupac case, right? I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Suge Knight and a few other people, you feel me? Supposed to be witnesses out there. I think they got like a 200 witness fucking paid, like 200 witnesses or something like that that's supposed to, you know, come up. I don't know if they're gonna, you know what I'm saying, see all 200 of them. I don't know. But this is a 30-year-old case. And I don't know, man. I honestly, now I don't know what to say about this. You know, a lot of people say Suge, a lot of people say Puffy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he get out, if he gonna be involved in this. Who knows?
A lot of the people in this case now have died, and including the man who allegedly pulled the trigger. That's right. But the one person who knows a lot is Suge Knight. Is Suge. And Suge, up to this point, has said, I ain't talking. I'm not talking. I am not talking. But
and also, not only that, you guys, I don't know, have you guys seen it was a young lady, man. She was lured to her house by 3 young women. And you know, saying they allegedly got her drunk or whatever the case may be, right? And while she was sleeping, one of the young ladies was standing, you know what I'm saying, up on her phone, and the other 2 ladies were attacking her. One slapped her in the face. They got to pulling her hair. They got the elbow on her, jumping on them with their knees and doing all type of shit while she was screaming. There's video, you can see them dragging her up the stairs. It's all type of crazy shit. And then the police said that they can't do anything about it because she don't remember. How can you not do anything about something that she don't remember when there's video footage? Now there's still an ongoing investigation about it, so I don't know what they're going to do. But from the original, because I read the article the other day, and I tried to find and pull. Well, I did, but it didn't. You know what I'm saying? But that's crazy for you to say that you got video footage of these young ladies assaulting this young lady while she was asleep, laying down, and because she don't remember, because she was so intoxicated that y'all can't do anything about this situation. And then come to find out that she was pregnant. I don't know if the young lady knew she was pregnant, whatever happened, but I knew once they got her to the doctor, they found out that she was pregnant, during this alleged attack. So, like, and you're going to sit here and tell me as the authorities that you can't do anything about it because she has no recollection or no memory of being attacked when there's clearly fucking video evidence. It's all over social media. It's all over social media. You didn't hear what he said. He says there a video of Michael Jackson beating this motherfucker say Michael Jackson. Wow. He say this is getting scripted. The team who love and help. Oh my God, what's going on? Aunt T, what's going on with you, my boy? I sent you going off on your rant earlier, man. I sent you earlier going off. What's going on? 2 Wheels, how you feeling tonight? 2 Wheels? You there? Okay, we're gonna move on. Doris, how you feeling tonight?
Good. By the way, can you unblock me from your channel if you see fit? I'm not able to post in there.
Oh, you blocked? Oh shit, I ain't do. All right, I got you. I got you, Doris. I got you, Doris. I got you, Doris. I got you, Doris. He say, "What's going on tonight?" your mama's house again. I got you, man. What's going on?
Yeah, it's totally understandable. So I apologize. Hopefully we're cool.
Yeah. Most definitely, Doris. I'm gonna figure that out. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So after this stream, I most definitely figure that out. No, ain't no hard feelings, man. You know, we did whatever we did. You know, that shit over and done with. It was one of the mods must have did it, but I most definitely figure out how to block. Well, you see, you ain't all the way blocked because you up here.
Yeah, no, thank you, and I apologize for my behavior.
Yes, sir, and I apologize as well, brother. All right. Well, let's get to this Tupac. Let's finish this Tupac and Suge, and then see, and this is crazy because of course we're gonna finish up with the young ladies that jumped on the girl in a minute. But back to this. So if Suge Knight is one of the witnesses, how is he saying that he ain't gonna testify?
Suge at least is talking to us because he is on the phone with us right now.
And I'm imagining he is going to be watching what happens in this trial very closely. And he is joining us now. Suge Knight, welcome back to TMZ Live.
What's up with y'all, man?
So listen, number one, we really appreciate you calling. We should let people know that you are incarcerated now, so you may hear a prison voice kind of monitoring.
Man, who the hell don't know that this man is locked up, man? Y'all ain't had to do all that.
But look, what do you make of
Harvey, I think everybody know I'm in the penitentiary.
I mean, there's a reason the graphic that we're putting up shows you in his prison.
It's a fair point, Suge.
But just in case, Suge, we just want everyone to know.
It's a fair point.
Y'all always show pictures of me in prison. Wow.
Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Orange is not your color necessarily. I got it.
No, it's not.
Okay.
So I want to say is that, it's always a pleasure talking to you guys. But the thing is that Tupac has so much influence. And I'm always happy to have so many people who love him. My son Legend, him and his friends, that's their favorite rapper. And my son Legend now, he's a basketball player, but he want to be an artist and rapper because of Tupac.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So when I spoke with his mother, by the way, is one of the greatest mothers around. Tori does a great job with my son. She says that's all he want to do is be a rapper. And my granddaughter, Santa, even says she loves him. So that says a lot. That makes me happy,
Yeah, no doubt Tupac's influence is immense. So knowing that and knowing that your son idolizes him, I would think that you're very interested in what happens.
Hey man, my own public disclaimer, man. Listen, I love music and I adore music. And I Friday and Saturday I promote and I push and I encourage people that do music to do music. But I am so happy that none of my kids want to be a damn rapper.
In this trial.
Well, I'm interested in that it should really be a teaching moment. We've been through so much over the years, right? And not just, for his hip hop, for a black man, we go through a lot. And society goes through a lot, in society, period. If we can't learn from it and learn something about it and teach something, we're wasting our time. So I definitely always down for trying to make everybody get a better view of life to help.
So, the interesting thing about this case is that, what the prosecution is saying is the best witness for them is Keefe D, because he essentially confessed that he wrote a book. He's talked about this on podcasts. He's now kind of moonwalking back here and saying, well, I had a ghostwriter in the book. What do you make of that?
He's full of I look at it like this. It's not about
man, so in my thing in relations to the Keefe D thing, whether he took his plea back and said he did it or not, right? My big thing is this, bro. Like, out of all them calls that was around that night, man, when this incident happened, when it's tragic, shooting, that unalive, the late great Tupac Shakur. When that incident, all them calls, you mean to tell me did nobody take chase? Did nobody see nothing? Nothing at all, bro. Like, that's baffling. It's just the same shit with the Nolan Wells case. All them people around this island, and this shit is just repetitive. All these people around, and nobody sees or nobody knows nothing. And this is crazy because this is a situation of a case where everybody that was out there that night was the same people damn near. It's crazy.
There's always someone that knows. There's always somebody that saw something or was involved, or their husband told them something, or their sister. There's always somebody.
Always somebody, but we never found it out. Well, I ain't gonna say we never found. Well, sometimes we never find it out. But you're absolutely correct. Or somebody seen something. Somebody knows something. Like, geez.
Picking on Keefe D, but at the same time, most of his situations, I know he did it to himself. I knew his lawyer. His lawyer was a friend of mine, and I knew about him having immunity and doing that deal a long time ago. But the crazy thing about it, for 30 years or so or more, it cost me my freedom. It cost me money. It cost me business deals. I paid a lot of the fact that from day one, even though I got a bullet an inch into my skull, they always says I'm the one who had Tupac killed, which is far from the truth. Every person who participated in that, they never brung up. But I believe in giving everybody the opportunity. I have a book coming out called Your Pain Is My Joy. It was coming out this month. When I found out that he wasn't been going to trial, I said, well, I'm not going to put the book out. I'll put it out in September because it'll be too much, for them to deal with. He deserves a fair shake. But I think what he should do, he already told everything. He already told on himself. He should deal with a situation where make it best for everybody. Put it in a situation where there's a lot of people who participated and a lot of people who they don't talk about. And I'm not here to say they should get punished because I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the revenge. I believe that my kindness comes from God. My strength comes from God. So I'm not on that page and saying they need to get punished, but it's sort of sad that every person has all dropped everything on Keefe D. When you look at it, he got immunity. So they can never charge him again. But then he was in bed and dealing with a guy that knew if you do a book, he was on one podcast 7 times, another podcast 5 times, and he did a book.
So, Suge,
that destroyed his immunity.
Suge, I know you've told us over the years that you're not snitching, you're not naming any names, but it does sound like you were saying there were other people involved.
You said
beyond Keefe D.
many others.
And even though Keefe D is the guy standing trial, that there are many others involved?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say these guys' names, but everybody, one thing you got to realize, even in my book, that's why I pushed it back. It tells the details of certain things, but it's still no names involved. If that's all you got to look around and see the people, even people who got the fake death row, they've been talking and talking and talking and talking. All of a sudden, it get close to this situation with Keefe D, everybody's quiet. One thing I also want to say is that there was a girl I knew back in the day named SKG. She was black, Asian, about 5'6", 115 pounds. Now somebody else said they SKG. And they deal with a person that deals with Keefe D. They deal with a person who hated Tupac. All these people were saying the most horrible things about Tupac that you possibly can say about a man. And they was all lies. Now they want to act like they're going to report what's going on. But these guys is in Keefe D's camp, who tried to bail him out and help him. I don't look for bad on him, but I don't look for good on him. It is what it is. But at the same time, I think it's an opportunity for him to clear the board.
Are you saying
he know the truth?
Are you saying that there's someone who either hired or sent Keefe D on this mission to kill Tupac?
You know, one of the things you got to realize, this was assassination.
I remember the 80s so clearly. The clothes, the
Sorry, you guys. Apologize for that.
It wasn't over no chain. It wasn't over no colors. This was assassination. And they can do one who assassinated Kennedy and everybody can talk about it. But when it comes to Tupac, nobody really wants the truth because the fact that the truth would have set me free. The truth wouldn't have caused them, the same people who allowed them to lie on me, it's the same people. You got to remember one thing, Harvey.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
What I like about you, Harvey, we got a lot in common. You started TMZ, you are TMZ. I have seen people over the years say, you know what? I'm going to start my own TMZ. You know what? I'm going to do some on my own. And they fail and they fail and they fail. That's like what people say about Death Row. Well, I'm going to start my own Death Row. I'm going to be Death Row. And they fail and they fail and they fail. That's why I with you, because we got a lot in common. But this is the thing. When it's all said and done, this really, all this stuff constantly destroying hip-hop. Hip-hop is one of the most influential art that you can think of. And even today, you got guys still paying for stuff that they have no reason to get a fair shake. Shot goes out to Lil Durk. Shot goes out to the other little young guy who's real, Pooh Shiesty, NBA guy. It's on us to lay our truth down to help the people behind us. We so caught up in look at me, look at me, look at me. We got to figure out how to fix this. Only way we can fix this is by putting everything on the table.
So, you know, Suge, I have talked to you. I have talked to you over the years about this, and there's something I don't understand, because you just said a few minutes ago that you are not into revenge. That's why you're not going to talk. But Tupac was a close friend of yours, and isn't there a difference between revenge and justice? That you said earlier that Keefe D is full of and that you were kind of scoffing at him. So do you feel like there should be, I guess, what I call justice in the system, where he's convicted and maybe others come forward and are convicted as well? Or do you think they should all be shut down?
Well, I think there's no justice from a man coming from the inner cities in the courts. I think it's all revenge. So we never get justice. So when you really look at it,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
You done had it on your show, a white woman stabs a black man to death and kills him, and they get 3 or 4 years. People had guns, and they had tests to prove they was trying to kill me. It was a hit, and someone dies, and look how much time I got.
Seems like Suge was watching yesterday. He made the reference to Courtney Clenny.
Yeah.
Getting out in less than 2 years.
Well, you heard they said 60 seconds left, and they mean business in the penitentiary. So we have lost Suge, but I think he gave us his view.
I really want to hear from him once Keefe D takes the stand and says whatever he's going to say, because it sounds like what Suge really wants is for Keefe D to name some of those names of the other people.
Sounded like it to me. I want to read his book.
Yeah. Coming up, President Trump's secret flight out of Turkey last month to the UK, the way to appear, and that jet is the one he flew on. So the reason that they did this, according to the report, is there was a very serious assassination attempt that was thwarted, I guess, by the Secret Service that the Iranians were going to pull off.
Well, thwarted, but maybe not thwarted, because the idea was Air Force One was going to be a target, and Donald Trump averted that by getting on another plane. But there were people on the old Air Force One who didn't know about this threat, and still they took off. They flew to London. It included the press pool, about 13 people, a small group of White House staff and military personnel who were unaware, and this plane took off where everybody thought Trump was still on that airplane. So you would think the threat was active.
Right. But none of the people on that plane had any idea about this until this story came out. So how do they feel now about essentially being used as, targeted? They were the decoy.
The decoys.
And clearly their lives were in some level of danger. One of the reporters who was on board Air Force One that day is Reuters reporter Graham Slattery. And Graham is joining us right now to discuss this. Graham, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thanks for having me.
So I just want to know your reaction when you read this Washington Post story and you realized you were on this airplane. I'm assuming
I would have been pissed after I found out that came out.
You didn't know a lot of this until last night when you read it.
We sort of knew something was up because there were just a lot of weird things happening that day. I think the first thing was just really surprised because they were really we saw him get on the plane, we saw him get off. So the subterfuge was pretty intense. And then, of course, you do have the question about, I mean, obviously, when you're a decoy in a potentially fatal situation, that brings up a whole range of, emotions or questions. And then finally, that the White House kept up this fiction for a number of weeks and only kind of never really has quite admitted to it. It makes it makes the relationship between the journalists and the White House it's not good for that relationship, obviously.
So you're saying that you saw the president. Did you see him get in the catering truck that day? You knew when Air Force One took off that he was not on board?
No, sorry. So we saw him get onto the old Air Force One, which was the plane we were flying on. What we didn't see was him sneak into the catering truck, which took him out.
Do you have any idea how he got back on that plane when it landed in London?
No, that's one part of this that remains a total mystery. The White House staff, I should say, was asking us to close our blinds, saying it was a Secret Service request. The truth is that the journalists, in particular the photographers, we weren't very happy with this request. It wasn't kind of clearly explained, and not all the windows were ultimately closed because we were doing our job. But even so, we couldn't see anything because it was sort of we don't know precisely how it got back on the plane, but if it was anything as sneaky as the way he got off, there wouldn't be much to see anyways.
How do you feel? How do you feel knowing that you were a decoy in harm's way because the Iranians probably thought President Trump was on that plane?
Being a journalist, particularly at Reuters, has a certain degree of risk. I was a foreign correspondent for a number of years. You don't necessarily expect that the risky moments are going to be when you're on the White House beat. That's kind of that was pretty ironic to me. And the truth is, something similar happened in the Clinton administration, but the journalists were briefed beforehand, and obviously you accept a certain amount of risk when you're doing any job. I think that the issue, what I think about is sort of the lack of transparency. For instance, the White House arguably could have simply told journalists off the record or on some sort of embargo, which is what's happened in the past.
Hey, Graham, who else besides the journalists? Who are the White House staffers who are on board when you guys?
Well, that's something that I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of, but it remains a mystery. In part, in part, there's just not that much visibility on the plane itself. So if you don't see somebody come through the press cabin, you don't really know precisely who's on board. We know that Defense Secretary Hegseth was on the other plane, but other than that, there's a lot we don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean, Marco Rubio was on that trip, so if he wasn't on the plane with, the Wall Street Journal is saying that Rubio was on the plane with the press corps, so that's also very interesting.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, I am stunned because we've spoken to other reporters who have kind of had your attitude, because I thought you guys would be really upset that maybe they could have faked a mechanical problem so you didn't take off. But your reaction is surprising to me, because I would have thought, boy, if I were that decoy, with a serious threat that somebody would blow up that airplane, I would be really upset, but I'm not hearing it in your voice.
Well, I want to minimize that. It's definitely not. I think as a journalist, the thing that I'm most that is most upsetting is again the lack of transparency and just the inaccuracies, sort of the fictions that were created around this. Obviously, being treated as a decoy isn't great. But again, it's for me, just because of the nature of the job, anytime when you have just arguably a lie being spun to you, that's kind of
You just embodied everything by saying being a decoy is not great.
Right, you did. I mean, Graham, to that point, I'm wondering if you now look back at this joke that the president made talking on Air Force One after all this, where he said to a reporter, there are serious threats all the time, but if I go, you go, right? Perhaps someday you want to change professions.
Yeah, that was actually me that asked that question.
Oh, really? And so he said that was you he was speaking to directly. I wasn't sure because they never showed that part of it.
But you could go and he wouldn't. Is the reality.
Right, as it turns out, no, he wouldn't go because he wasn't on the plane.
Yeah, I mean that's part of that's sort of part of the whole being spun the deception issue. It's as journalists, particularly at like an international company like Reuters, so many colleagues that have gone through such incredible risk. Many that have died. Like if you've been abroad, you've probably been in tense situations yourself. And so I don't want to be overwrought about frankly the DC jobs. Because I just know so many colleagues that are going through such serious risk that not that this wasn't serious. It's. I
guess the difference is, Graham, those colleagues you're talking about, and that you're right, they are in those situations, but they know that they're in those situations. You guys had no idea that day, or at least they certainly, as you said, weren't transparent with you.
Right. I think that's actually, and I think that we're sort of getting to the same position in some respects because, as a journalist, you're willing to take risks, but you expect to know about them.
Right.
You would think.
Right.
We're glad you're safe, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Well, thanks very much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Graham. Coming up, how high was this threat?
I don't think the threat could get much higher. There had to be some concrete, hard intel about an inbound threat potentially.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. We just spoke to Graham Slattery, one of the reporters who was on Air Force One the day that the president secretly got off and flew on a different jet back to the UK. Meanwhile, leaving all the reporters and some White House staffers on Air Force One amid clearly a very serious assassination attempt organized by the Iranians, according to the administration. So, and the Washington Post report. But this has happened before, this sort of thing. It happened back in the early 90s with President Clinton. And there seem to be some differences, though, between what happened with Clinton and what happened this time. But again, there were people left on Air Force One when they got President Clinton off.
There is a difference. And we have the man who was actually protecting President Clinton, actually protected other presidents as well in the Secret Service. Rich Steripoli is joining us right now. Rich, welcome to TMZ Live.
Appreciate it, Harvey. Always good to see you. And you are correct. I was with President Clinton when we used the ruse of flying him in on unmarked jets into India and Pakistan back in, you're right, the late 90s.
Did you inform the people on that plane that Clinton wasn't going to fly it, that he was going to get in that smaller jet?
Well, I didn't inform anyone, right? Usually the Secret Service doesn't do that. That's a conversation that's held between the Secret Service and the White House staff. But yeah, it's a safe bet. And I seem to recall that we did, in fact, let everyone know what was going on.
So, Rich, you informed, as Secret Service, you let the White House staff know what's happening, and then it's up to them to inform the people who are on the plane?
That's exactly right. But, something that this situation that unfolded with President Trump recently is such of paramount importance, and the threat was at such a high level. There had to have been some discussion between the director of the Secret Service, the agent in charge of the president's detail, and some senior White House officials about specifically how are we going to deal with the non-Secret Service, non-Air Force personnel, i.e. the press that are on this flight. What are we going to tell them, and when are we going to tell them, if anything? And in this particular case, it doesn't seem like anyone was informed about the tremendously high threat towards that plane.
Well, it seems like it was tremendously high, the fact that he was taken out on a catering truck. We just talked to a Reuters reporter who was almost like, it's kind of the cost of doing business. Charles and I have been talking about it this morning, and it just seems shocking that these reporters and the White House staff would be in harm's way and they would have no idea. The plane took off.
As the reporter, as Graham just told us, that it's not great to be a decoy.
It speaks volumes about what the White House spokespeople think about the members of the media, specifically those that were on board that plane. If they couldn't even trust them with this type of information about, hey, we're going to bring the president on the front, then we're going to bring him out the back, and we're going to switch planes up because we're worried about the Iranians who are only 100 miles away from where we are at the moment, shooting down the plane. Right? Given all the leaks, particularly with regard to this plane, what happened with former Secretary Frank Kendall last week, having his clearance revoked when it came to light that he did leak information about the ACM capabilities of the plane, I can see why the White House would be a little hesitant to clue the press in over concerns about a leak.
But they could have. They could have just faked a mechanical problem where the plane wouldn't have taken off until Trump landed in the UK, and then he surfaces, and they realize he's not on Air
And
Force
then the
One.
transparency happens.
That's right.
And they reveal. But why? Yeah.
Listen, any number of ways this could have played out. And I personally have been in situations where we've played this out. One of which was in India with President Clinton. Another one was with President Bush in Iraq. We've had some similar situations occur with the Obamas, right? So this isn't the first time. And this didn't just happen haphazardly. This is part of the Secret Service high threat level contingency planning, right? And I find it difficult to believe that some thought didn't go into, hey, what are we going to tell the members of the traveling press pool? Yet you come back with, we're not going to tell them anything. I don't think that's an answer. And that's not a good way to go about doing business, especially with people you deal with every day.
How high was this threat?
This threat was as high as it can get, right? The Secret Service doesn't make it a point of their daily job to interfere with the president's schedule. So for them to go to the lengths of taking the president off of the plane, putting him into some catering truck, for lack of a better term, right? I guess that's what we're calling it, and put him on an unmarked plane to fly him around and use Air Force One as a decoy, I don't think the threat could get much higher. There had to be some concrete, hard intel about an inbound threat, potentially with some sort of missile or rocket-fired device that had the capability of taking down the plane to take them off of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is. I can't explain to you how big of a deal it is for a government employee. And yeah, I've got a nice title as Secret Service agent, still a government employee, yet I'm going to go to the President of the United States and tell him we've got to take you off of the most secure aircraft in the world, put you in the back of an unarmored catering truck, put you on another plane, in this case it was a 757, unmarked, because I can't assure your safety and the safety of Air Force One once it's airborne. That is a huge decision that had to be made.
Hey, Rich, in that situation that you just laid out, is it reasonable to expect the president, who has the final call, right, to say to his Secret Service detail, what about the people on the plane? Obviously, the first concern is the president's safety. Is it reasonable to expect that a president in that situation might at least ask questions about, hey, what about the folks on that plane?
Oh, not only is it reasonable, but I know that question had to have been asked. Right? I've been in a situation before where we've had this exact discussion with different presidents, and that question always comes up. Well, what about the people on the plane? What about the people on the ground? What about the spectators? So you've got to be prepared to handle that. So the conversation that ensued with the president wasn't just with the Secret Service, but certainly with the senior-most White House spokesperson that happened to be on the ground.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, Rich, cannot thank you enough for jumping on.
Well, certainly appreciate it, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
That is
You got it.
Crazy.
fascinating. All the
Well, also, that threat level was as high as it gets.
Coming up, there's a comedian who is doing something very timely and seemingly extremely charitable. He goes into Walmart.
Laughter.
Be right back.
I remember the 80s.
Hey, speaking of this comedian, so they served him some papers and saying that all Walmarts had banned him from out of the. Now I don't know how true that is. I don't know if they're gonna talk about it or whatever the case may be. But I seen I don't know if it was a skit again because he's a comedian, but they claimed that they banned him from all Walmart. So he'll go in Walmart and he'll just pay for people's stuff.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. There's a comedian who is doing something very timely and seemingly extremely charitable. Damon Darling has been getting quite a reaction on social media with these videos where he goes into Walmart and just buys people's groceries for them, has a little conversation with them about why they're, what they're buying, who they're buying it for, and he just pays for their groceries. Seems like a great thing. But one of his most recent videos has really surprised people.
Now, the only thing that I be tripping about now, and look, y'all, and y'all go for what y'all say, man. Y'all get mad at this. Now, so he in Ohio, so you know what I'm saying. Most of the people that he buy shit for, you feel me? They the YT people, you feel me? So I mean, you see a few, you know what I'm saying, other folk, but for the most part is, but I know what he doing though, you know what I'm saying. He trying to break that barrier, trying to make them comfortable. He trying to, you know what I'm saying, show and change the narrative that, you know what I'm saying, all people ain't bad, you feel me? So I fuck with what he doing.
Because it showed Walmart banning him, saying that he can no longer come in and do this, which has a lot of people asking questions. Why in the world would Walmart stop a guy from doing something so charitable?
Right.
So joining us right
In my opinion, Walmart should link with him and maybe start some type of non-for-profit or fund or something. You feel me? You know what I'm saying, and to help push this type of program along. Because again, he ain't doing no harm. He's helping people, and a lot of the people that he's helping, like some people try to turn him down because they really don't need the help, but he do. And it all depends because sometimes he be like, okay, all right, you show, and he'll walk off. But for the most part, he help a lot of people, man. And some people say, well, I don't need the help. Like, this is crazy. What the fuck is the world coming to? Walmart, yeah, it's not like they not losing nothing. They still getting their money. You know what I'm saying? They still getting paid. They still getting compensated. So why would you say that he can't come in and pay for people's stuff? That's insane.
now to talk about this is the comedian himself, Damon Darling. Welcome to TMZ Live.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So, from what you knew, why would they boot you when affordability is the biggest issue in America right now?
I can't answer that other than maybe they don't want me recording in their stores.
But you've done a lot of these videos now. Did anybody ever say to you, you can't?
So now, and about the recording in the stores, I seen an article that said that sometimes people be in what's that? Oh my God, like protective custody or something like that. And they be in these little small towns, and by him recording, you never know who catch what or who see what. Now, I don't know if Ohio is a town where they put people or hire people, but if that's the case, just don't put their ass in Ohio, put them somewhere else. But this man is and I don't, and again, not saying that he's recording because he knows that type of shit is going on, but he's just, he recording him doing his good deeds. That's it. That's all. But I
being here recording, like at any point before this?
I run into employees all the time that say I can't record. But the thing is, with my videos, the people involved in them, they want to be involved in them. They're excited to see me. They almost go to Walmart looking for me, hoping to run into me. They're fans, man, and they're having a great time with it. The audience loves it, and everybody's getting free groceries. So
in that video where they mentioned something, is it a trespassing that they're accusing you of, saying that you don't have the right to record there? I mean, I agree with you. Look, your videos are really heartwarming when you see the look on people's faces when they realize. They always seem shocked, like, this can't be real. This guy isn't really just giving me money. What's the catch? And there's no catch. It's a heartwarming thing you're doing. So I get it why your audience is watching the videos going, what's the deal? Why this is all good?
Well, I respect their wishes. I'm at a point where I'm just going to do what they ask me and not come back and not film at their business. I don't want any problems. I don't want anyone boycotting Walmart. I don't want people to stop shopping at Walmart. I don't want to put any more negativity or anything like that out into the world. There's enough of that. My what I want to do is bring love and laughter, and that's what I want to do. So I don't want to.
Hey man, listen, go back to the beginning of this program when I first started, before I played any content or before we went into anything, man. That's one of the things that I said. I spoke about the negative energy that's going into the world. That's one of the very first things that I
add to any kind of drama in the world. So I'll respect their wishes and I'll just figure something else out.
So what we've been hearing, because we've been looking at this today because it was just fascinating us, is that there seemed to be some history between you and Walmart where there was some contentiousness about some of your other videos that they felt you were being destructive. And we've seen some of these videos that you've posted where you do like a fake fall and pull down some merchandise. Apparently that didn't sit well with Walmart, and that's, at least from their standpoint, the genesis of them being upset with your videos.
Well, I'm a content creator and I'm a stand-up comedian, so I do bring humor into my videos. My content has completely evolved into wholesome content, to where I'm just making conversation that includes a little bit of lighthearted joking and to provide laughs. And there's messages in it to help break down other barriers that we deal with in society. But the ultimate goal is to put smiles on faces and some money in some people's pockets that could definitely use it at this time. So, I mean, that's all I'm trying to do. Again, I'm going to respect their wishes. I'm not going to go back anymore.
Yeah.
And I just want to make it clear that I don't want anyone upset at Walmart. I met my wife at Walmart. I used to work for Walmart. I worked loss prevention at Walmart.
Really?
So yeah, I love Walmart. And one day,
Okay. So now,
yeah,
so now you're kind of persona non grata at Walmart. Is Target your next target?
No, probably not. I mean, I just don't feel like Target really needs me. They're pretty doing pretty well over there. The clientele, I feel like.
To be fair to Walmart, because we did reach out to them to ask what their view is of why they were banning you. They said this is the statement: "We deeply care about our associates and customers. Mr. Darling has repeatedly violated our policies through disruptive behavior and trespassing unrelated to any charitable giving." Listen, you could just do it at a different store, like we said. It seems like maybe you could actually patch things up with Walmart and continue doing it there if they had some assurance that you're not going to do destructive things. I think your videos where you're helping people are really cool and a good thing you should continue doing wherever it is you end up doing it.
I agree, man. And all I want to do is create wholesome content, continue to put smiles on people's faces and make people laugh and bring some joy into this dark world. And I mean, if they see, the humor part of it as disruptive, then I mean, it is what it is. But we need some laughter too. So.
Okay, we'll buy that.
All right. And speaking of laughter, I know you have a tour that you're going to be starting next month.
Yeah, this is my 4th national tour. It's called Funny in Real Life. I'll be going all over the country. You can go to DamonDarlingTV.com and get tickets if there's any left. And I hope to see you on the road. And if I see you out in public and you're broke, you won't be broke anymore.
Are you bringing food to the comedy events?
Just bring money. Hand out money at the comedy events, man.
There for a while, I would bring a money gun out and I would spray dollars into the crowd.
So, by the way,
you get roast beef. You get roast beef. You get roast beef. How about that?
I would say your comedy tour must be doing pretty well because you've got cash that you're handing out to folks. So
yeah, well, I have really good jokes too. So
okay, really appreciate you coming on.
All right, thanks, Damon.
Thanks, Damon.
Thank you.
Coming up, I got me some good recon in the Luigi Mangione case.
Today was last pretrial hearing,
and one of the things that they're raising is that the defense wants the media to be able to live stream the trial. I know why. Be right back. I got me some good recon in the Luigi Mangione case.
Today was last pretrial hearing.
And one of the things that they're raising is that the defense wants the media to be able to live stream the trial. I know why. And these things connect. The defense wants young jurors badly because they think stealth jurors who want to free Luigi because they believe in his cause, that if they can get people under 35 on that jury, they're not going to get a conviction in this case.
But what is the live streaming of jury selection? How does that impact?
Because the jurors aren't going to be sequestered, it looks like. And if they're not sequestered, then
Then
people are going to hear all of the chatter online.
There's going to be, I mean, look, there would be a ton of online chatter about this anyway, but you're right. If they're live streaming,
you'll be able
the
to see
actual
it.
case,
And
which doesn't typically happen in New York.
that's right.
Right. So this is,
We don't know what the judge is going to rule on.
Right.
This. Now, the other thing is, this is sort of a be careful what you wish for, that the prosecution plans to introduce Luigi's diary in court to show he planned this killing. The diary also contains a lot about his rage toward corporate greed. And what I'm told the defense is going to do is you bring the diary in, great. And we're going to get all into the corporate greed thing.
Right.
And we're going to try and influence this jury. So that's a really interesting strategy.
Yeah, I mean, they're leaning into what all the attention that Luigi's case has gotten from the outset, where we've seen people hail him up as a folk hero, and they're going to lean into that. It seems to be the best strategy they could use at this point.
Absolutely. There's a lot more here. Go to TMZ.com and you'll be able to see it. But have some good recon in this one. Coming up.
You could say there's a Nepopocalypse going on in the latest issue of Vogue.
Perfect word.
Because it features not only Kaya Gerber, the obvious just by looking at her, daughter of Cindy Crawford, but also Homer Gear. Be right back. You could say there's a apocalypse going on.
Yeah, we ain't doing Cindy Crawford. We ain't doing the Cindy Crawford. We ain't going that far. We ain't going that far. So fellas, what's going on with you tonight? Well, how y'all feeling tonight? Two Wheels, man. I was trying to get your attention, but you ain't answering me, man. What's going on with you? How you feel?
My bad, bro. I'm doing something, my bad.
You say you're doing something.
Yeah, man.
Okay, all right, Mr. Doing, Mr. Doing something. All right, yeah, I'm saying. Oh shit, what's going on with you, Doris? How you feeling, young man?
Guess he doing something too.
Yeah, well, at least he responded the first time.
My bad, dog.
At least he responded the first time, man. But yeah, question for you two, Wills, real quick. So with the Nolan Wells situation, man, you think they gonna you think they gonna come to a conclusion to find out what happened to him?
Man, what's done in the dark gonna come to the light, man. Some got to go down, man. Some got to happen, man.
So in your honest opinion, just as a a person just hearing things like from the media and just public opinion, what do you think happened, or what do you think about the situation?
I think.
Do you think
think-
do you think it's a possibility that
I think
go ahead, I'm
that
sorry.
I think them boys ain't telling us everything, man. Yeah, man. I just
Okay,
think that, man.
okay,
I could be wrong, man,
okay.
but they don't seem they don't seem too what's the word for
Genuine.
yeah. Yeah, they it sound like a rehearsed statement, man.
Mm, mm.
It sounds like some rehearsed shit, man. That isn't me though. I could be wrong as hell, man. But that's just me though, man.
So that's just you, huh?
Yeah, yeah. But hopefully the mother and the father get some type of closure and justice. And
Hopefully. I think they will. I think they will.
yeah, yeah, man. It's sad, man. It just the whole situation is sad on both parts.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It really is. So, Black Therapy said if it was an accident, they should have said it in the beginning. But now they love. I'm saying, but now they lied even more guilty. Now they look. I'm sorry, even more guilty than before. And that's possible, man. And again, I don't want to, pass any judgment down. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to pass any judgment down.
Street altercation
Nancy, real quick.
emerges, and not with the guys that took him to the island on the boat. Does this change things?
I just know I've lost my best friend.
This morning, a friend of Nolan Wells, who was with the 18-year-old the day he was last seen alive, is sharing what he says happened during a July 4th boat trip to an isolated barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Trayston Shepard declined to speak with us on camera because he says he and his friends are getting threats.
We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die.
On July 4th, 2026, an 18-year-old named Nolan Wells went to a barrier island off the Mississippi coast to celebrate a holiday with friends. He did not come home. His body was found 2 days later. More than a month on, the cause and manner of his death still have not been determined. And into that gap, that enormous, painful gap where answers are supposed to be. A great deal of other material has rushed in. The broadcast we're going to look at today is a good example of that. It's a Nancy Grace episode built around what she calls a mystery altercation. And I want to be careful about what I'm doing here because it matters. I'm not going to tell you what happened to Nolan Wells. I don't know. Neither does anyone else outside of that investigation right now. What I want to do instead is watch how a claim travels, where it enters, what happens to it on the way, and what it looks like by the time it reaches you. Notice the sequencing in that opening, because it's doing a lot of work. The word bombshell arrives first. The claim arrives second. By the time you hear what the actual information is, you've already been told how to feel about it. And then, almost immediately afterward, she says something I actually think is admirable. She says Crime Stories is not a gathering place for a witch hunt. She says they're here to convict no one. That's a real statement of principle. And she repeats versions of it throughout the hour. I want to give her that. But hold both of those things in your head at the same time. Bombshell, and we're convicting no one. Those two instincts are going to fight each other for the next 50 minutes, and you're going to be able to watch it happen in real time.
If people are sending in videos, they should be using those videos to conduct further investigation.
There is a group of people fighting at 5 p.m. Who are they? Where was he? He wasn't floating in the water. He wasn't on the shore. Tonight, evidence of a so-called mystery altercation is emerging. Straight out to Crime Stories investigative reporter Dave Mack. Dave, what can you tell me first about this so-called mystery altercation? And this is not with the men that went to Horn Island on the boat. You know what? Let me just be clear. Crime Stories is not a symposium, a gathering place for a witch hunt. We want the truth about what happened to Nolan Wells. We are here to convict no one yet. And if evidence of a mystery altercation with other young men arises, we are pursuing it. Dave Mack, what do we know about some mystery altercation? We think after the Triton left Horn Island.
Nancy, this is a mystery altercation that is being described through social media as something that took place around 5 p.m. that day. This is 30 minutes after the Triton already left. And in this particular account, a Bertram boat was seen leaving shortly afterward at a high rate of speed. Now, this social media conversation claims that a person, one of the passengers, pretty certain Nolan Wells, was part of a group that was, quote, almost fighting around 5 p.m.
Whoa, whoa, wait. Hold on, Nellie. Did you say 5 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. The reason I jumped in, Dave Mack, is because 5 p.m., if no one was seen in an altercation at 5 p.m. on Horn Island, that's after the Triton had already left. Let's see the boat, control room. We're talking about the boat leaving Horn Island. That boat. Had that boat already left when this altercation occurred? Dave Mack, that's a yes, no.
Yes.
Listen.
But the person said in the DM to another kid that is associated, not any of the kids that I interviewed to talk to, but that could be associated to some degree, that knew Nolan, that this person wrote a message saying, me and my husband saw you arguing with Nolan, and to the effect of you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison.
So what is the bombshell? Let's trace it backwards, because this is the whole ball game. What we have is a claim being described through social media. Inside that, a direct message sent by a person we cannot see to a second person who is not one of the young men who went to the island, and who is described only as somebody who might be associated to some degree with somebody who knew Nolan. That is the chain. A private message from an unidentified sender to an unidentified recipient at a remove from anyone directly involved, surfaced through social media, and then read aloud on national television. I want to be fair to the reporter here. He says plainly that this is coming through social media. He doesn't dress it up as a police document. That's honest. But once a claim is spoken on a broadcast with that reach, the caveat weighs about a gram, and the claim weighs about a ton. Tomorrow it will be circulating as a thing that happened. Some of you watching this have already seen it circulating that way. And here's what I keep coming back to. There is a version of this same information that would be genuinely explosive. If that person walked into the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, gave a name, and swore to what they saw, that's evidence. That changes things. Until then, it's a screenshot. Now the timing question. This part I understand completely. This is the reason the segment exists, and honestly, the reason it's worth taking seriously at all. Because if that timing is right, it moves everything. The public conversation about this case has focused almost entirely on the 3 young men who took Nolan to the island and came back without him. If there was a confrontation at 5 in the afternoon and that boat was already gone, then the conversation has been pointed in the wrong direction. That's not a small thing. That's the sort of correction that's worth a broadcast.
Nolan and another person that he may have been in an argument with, to me, are people that need to be investigated.
Guys, let me first introduce Cheryl McCollum, Cold Case Investigative Research Institute founder. Let that sink in at coldcasecrimes.org. She's a star of a hit podcast that I have listened to on loop, by the way, Cheryl McCollum. And I don't like much of what you're saying yet. I keep listening. Zone 7, she's author of a brand new book, Swans Don't Swim in a Sewer, solving the cold case of the Flint River Killer's daughter and more. But for my purposes tonight, she's a forensics expert. Greg Morse, before I even get to the merits of this, where I meant to go with this is everyone has been focusing on the young men that were on the boat that took him to Horn Island. Then we get this audio that we're trying to corroborate, where seemingly in the background, you hear them talking about trying to revive Nolan Wells on the boat. Is that even real? We don't know yet. Or has it been doctored? Trying to find out. I've got experts telling me, renowned experts, by the way, it's real, and renowned experts saying it's not real. It's just like a trial, right? Where it's expert v. expert, who's telling the truth.
Sure.
I wanted to talk about this mystery altercation. If it happened at 5 p.m., that boat was already gone. Now, as much as some people want to hang the young guys on the boat, I want to make sure we hang the right person. If there is a mystery altercation after that boat lift, we need to be investigating that altercation.
Well, you're 100% right, because the 3 young men that are, at least the people are saying are involved in this, that went there with Nolan Wells, there's a specific timeline from what I read. They needed assistance on their boat. They left at 4:30.
You
they
just
called
gave me
CTEL.
a chill down my spine. You
So
can't
if there
introduce
is-
something because people say, I don't care what people say on either side.
No.
They mean nothing to me. What?
Nancy, that's the problem when we have things like podcasts today and people who are not qualified to talk about serious things like this. They're not experts. They want to get likes. Law enforcement is going to keep information
He
close to the
said
best.
he saw the DMs. I don't have
Okay,
a
so what does that
reason
mean?
to think
that's
he
not
didn't
legitimate.
see the DMs. Now, many people are arguing that he has taken a side. We have not taken a side. I'm on the side of finding out why everybody got back to the mainland except Nolan Wells.
Well,
and
listen,
nobody
these
saw
are
anything.
teenagers.
Nobody knows anything. It's just like Tupac Shakur got shot on the strip at
Nancy,
Vegas, and we still don't know what happened. Nobody saw a thing. That's BS.
These are young men hanging out. It's not unusual one may stay behind to hang out with other people. None of that is unusual for teenagers partying and having a good time. So that fact alone doesn't mean anything. What?
Where's your cell phone? Where is your cell phone? And try not to lie. Where's your cell phone?
Okay, right here.
Oh, really? Because here's mine. So you want to tell me Nolan Wells stayed behind and his cell phone went without him? I understand. Don't everybody start screaming that he didn't want to get it wet. Of course he didn't want to get it wet. But there's ways around that. You can go put it on shore in your shoe, like everybody else does, to hide it from people, and then retrieve it when you go. But no, he let the boat leave with his phone. I agree with his mother on that. That is not Nolan Wells. He was never away from his phone.
So that doesn't mean anything in of itself with what's coming out about this. You know, you're talking about him staying behind. You're talking about there's evidence that he was there after 4:30 p.m. If he's there after 4:30 p.m., Nolan Wells on that island hanging out with other people, that's it. The fact that a cell phone is on a boat and he's not as a teenager doesn't really mean anything at all.
Okay, you know what? I asked you about a mystery altercation, and should we be looking in that direction right now? And you're like going on and on about the cell phone.
No, but
everybody
that's
that
my
owns
point.
a cell phone,
But-
which is everyone,
but
knows you never
Nancy,
leave
that's
without
my
your cell
point.
phone.
You have to look at what really happened. If there was this mystery altercation, then yes, the police need to be investigating that. They need to be looking into that.
So let's put the strongest available fact next to it. GPS data from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, reported by CBS News, shows the boat left a private dock that morning around 9:56, arrived at Horn Island at 11:14, and departed the island at 4:31 in the afternoon. That is not a rumor. That is not a direct message. That's instrument data, and it is one of the few genuinely solid things in this entire case. Attorney Ben Crump's office has said Nolan was last seen on the island around 3 o'clock. So the shape of the question is real. There is a window after 4:31, and it is not accounted for. What fills that window, though, is exactly the part where the evidence stops and the speculation starts. And you're about to watch a room full of professionals disagree very sharply about how to handle that. Before we get into it, if you want more breakdowns like this, where we separate what's documented from what's circulating, subscribing genuinely helps. That's it. Let's keep going.
You know what? Let's hear Tatum again. And hey, take it for what it's worth. Try to get the truth out of what we're hearing. Okay? Listen.
Nolan and another person that he may have been in an argument with, to me, are people that need to be investigated.
With that, I agree with Tatum. As much as we disagree on practically everything else, if this happened, and forget about the girl, I'm talking about the altercation. Cheryl McCollum, come on. He dies. Nobody sees him. The others get back safely. Now we're hearing about an altercation afterwards. And I'm not ruling out that he was on that boat when they left. But now I'm hearing about an altercation. When you can't tell the truth of what's happening, look at who was angry. Look if there was an altercation. I don't know what happened, but when I hear altercation after the Triton left, I've got to go there.
You got to look at it. You absolutely cannot ignore it. But one thing we already know from the second autopsy, they would have mentioned if he had any type of injury to his knuckles, if he had been in a fight. We didn't hear anything about abrasions or bruising or any type of injury that would be indicative of somebody that is a college football player. fighting somebody.
Okay, now I have just told everybody that you're a forensic expert. It's starting to taste like a dirt sandwich. Because, okay, I'm going to let you sit in the corner and think about what you just said. Joe Scott Morgan joining me, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, star of a hit series, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. He is a death investigator with over 10,000 death scenes under his belt, deaths of all genre. Joe Scott Morgan, let's refresh Cheryl McCollum's recollection. That's what you say in court when obviously the witness is gone off the rails. Your Honor, pause, Your Honor, objection. May I refresh the witness's recollection? In other words, get it together. Don't you remember what we just talked about before you got on the stand and you give them a piece of paper and go, can we see that the drawings on the autopsy control room? Joe Scott, there's a big, thank you. There's a big honking mark, subcutaneous, deep reddening tissue on his occipital. If I hit somebody in the back of the head, it'd be right there. We don't know what that is.
No, we don't. But to Cheryl's point, she's accurate. And here's why. Because in forensics, it's not just about positive findings. It's also about negative findings, those things that we are absent. So in that report, as she had mentioned, there was no indication that there was any kind of contusions on the hand, the arm, no kind of defensive event like a parry with a forearm, scuffing of the knuckles, that sort of thing. This forensic pathologist that did the second assessment didn't see any evidence of that. And so that's the first place I'm going to go to, aside from not having the actual primary autopsy report that has not been released yet. But you've got an individual that has in fact been retained by the family that's making this assessment. And it's a pretty damn thorough assessment, as a matter of fact, based upon many of them that I've read over the years. You don't see any kind of insults to the arms, the hands, anything like this. The one thing about that thing in the back, this focal area that they're talking about is, and I come back to this all the time, Nancy, is that his body, Nolan's body, is in such a state of decomposition to this point that he cannot make a definitive assessment on that area. And he did a multi-layered dissection, which, by the way, according to him, had not been done by the state medical examiner's office in Mississippi. He just went about it a different way. And as a matter of fact, if you like that one, I got another one. The examination that this physician in DC did on Nolan's remains ranks right up there with the most thorough, hear me talking, the most thorough dissection that you can possibly do on human remains. It's the same one that we do on bodies that have died, individuals that have died that have been incarcerated, in custody deaths. You know what all that means: in the back of a cruiser, in a holding cell, in a prison. Those autopsies rank right up there with the most thorough that we can go. It's a very deep dive that they did on his body.
Just Scott, you are stating that due to the level of decomposition in Nolan Wells's body, that you can't really figure out why his occipital bone area had deep reddening, and that was seen nowhere else in the body. That's because of decomposition. Isn't that true?
Well, it's true in the sense that that's what
Didn't
the
you just say
physician said.
that?
I'm repeating what the physician said in his autopsy report. I didn't do the examination.
So then that would be a yes. So at that level of decomp that you're claiming could obscure the nature of the deep reddening on his occipital area, but yet on the other side of your mouth, you're claiming that even with this intense decomposition, you didn't see evidence of any reddening on his knuckles or any indication of a fight. So you want it two ways. You want to say decomp, can't tell what that was on the back of his head, but even though he's highly decomposed, I can tell you he didn't have any reddening on his knuckles. Really?
No.
Because I
Do you
see a
know-
problem with that.
Okay, you've skinned your knee before, right? Okay. If you have an abrasion, that's completely different than a contusion. That means you have scraping and the tearing away of the skin. That's something that's very obvious. And guess what? I've been in enough fist fights in my life that I know what scraping. Right, I know, and you're misstating that because it's not a matter of reddening. When we look at hands, we also look at contact points where people are being abraded as a result of scuffing their hands. That's different than a color discoloration. We're talking about the top layer, the epidermis down to the dermis, is being scraped away. He doesn't see any evidence of that in his
I'm not
autopsy
talking
report.
about a scrape. I'm talking about if he had, for instance, reddening from a welt, the beginnings of a bruise. With that level of decomp, you're telling me you could still make that out?
No, those two things cannot exist in the same universe. You have to have an abraded area, and there would be multiple of them on his hands if he is punching or trying to defend himself. And yes, we can make out bruises. Yeah, we can make out bruises.
You don't always have to have scrapes on your hand when you throw a punch. You don't always have to have cuts on your hand when you throw a punch. That's not true.
Well, that sounds mighty convenient if that's the road you want to go down, because I've seen them many
That's what I'm telling you. What you're saying is mighty darn convenient. That the reddening on the back of his head, can't really tell anything because he's so decomposed, but you can see his hands well enough to know he was not in a fist fight. Yeah,
Right.
that's convenient, Joe Scott.
he
Look,
was not in
I'm
a
not
fist
trying
fight.
to convict anybody. I'm trying to find the truth. I'm trying to find out if this evidence of an altercation really happened. And to further muddy the waters, now we have more witnesses stating what they saw.
Okay, that autopsy exchange. Rewind it in your head, because a lot just happened. The forensic position being offered is this. In pathology, absence is information. If a person has been in a physical fight, you would expect to see something on the hands. Scraping. The top layers of skin torn away at the contact points. That kind of damage is different in character from bruising, and the argument is that it remains visible under conditions where subtler color changes would not. Nancy Grace's challenge is a genuinely sharp one, and I don't think it should be waved off. She's saying, you're telling me the body is too decomposed to interpret a deep marking at the back of the head, but not too decomposed to rule out a fight from the condition of the hands. Pick one. And the answer given is that these are two different kinds of finding. Read two different ways. Here's the thing. I'm not qualified to settle that. Neither is Nancy Grace, and she'd probably tell you so herself. Neither, respectfully, are most of the people arguing about it online this week. But look at what we're actually all arguing about. This is a second autopsy, commissioned privately, described secondhand, on a broadcast. The original autopsy from the state medical examiner's office has not been released. Toxicology was still pending. We are conducting a public forensic debate on a document most of the participants have not read. That's not a criticism of any one guest. It's a description of the situation everybody is in, and it's worth sitting with, because it explains why two credentialed experts can watch the same case and walk away with opposite readings, and why you should be slow to trust anyone who sounds completely certain right now, including me, especially me. Then there's the claim about someone seeing Nolan and a girl struggling in the water. Watch what the panel does with it, because this is the best moment in the broadcast, and almost nobody is talking about it.
Another report came to me of someone saying that they saw Nolan with a girl, and they believe that they saw Nolan and this girl struggling in the water, not necessarily drowning, but struggling. Like it was obvious enough that the person was concerned when they saw Nolan in the water, and he was with this girl.
You know, that's from Officer Tatum's show. Cheryl McCollum, it seems to me that that's not true. Because don't you think if a witness saw one or two people, quote, struggling in the water, I mean, I would try to help them.
It makes no sense.
And they did nothing?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't be their focal, that they would pay attention to those two people that are struggling to see, is one going under and not resurfacing? What can we do to help? The idea that they would watch that, see a struggle, and then what? Turn back and finish barbecuing? That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Not at all. So this is a problem, Greg Morse. You're a veteran trial lawyer. We're getting so much information, and a lot of it is inconsistent. And that is why you have cross-examination. So you can test the evidence. Test whether it's true under the fire of cross-exam. When you have conflicting stories like this, my instinct is to go with the one that makes the most sense. What do you make of these claims that Nolan was struggling in the water? I really believe if he had been, quote, struggling in the water, that either she or her friends would have come forward by now. I mean, what about these guys on the boat that had already left? Don't they want to save them? I mean,
well,
I'm just trying to find out what happened to Nolan. And if this is true, it may place him on the island after they left.
Well, that's it. And that's what the police are doing, is they're going to run these leads down, and they're going to try to verify what's credible and what's not before they go to a grand jury. They're going to exclude information that they think is completely uncredible. However, all of this information, if people are arrested at some point in the future and charged with a crime for Nolan Wells' death, then all of these conflicting stories, all of these different timelines, they become a conflict in the evidence. And as you know, Nancy, there's three ways a jury can find reasonable doubt if this ever gets there. And one of those ways is in a conflict in the evidence. So these are all favorable things that would benefit a defendant or defendants down the road. However, there's a reason why law enforcement does investigations. Professionals do it, not podcasters talking about it. Verified sources, all of that is nonsense. The police are going to keep information to themselves. They're going to also...
Yeah, but like, see, now that's what I don't like. I mean, when stuff like this happens, even if it's government issues, people gonna talk, people gonna have something to say. So you can't stop people from thinking whatever the hell they want to think or believing whatever they want to believe. That just, I mean, hell, shit, they didn't try that with religion. Look how well that worked out.
Keep information private so they can test statements that come from people and verify what they're saying based on factors that don't get released in the media. So clearly something happened after 4:30 when the Triton boat apparently left. And all of these things the police will find, they will discover. You know, the police can discover whose phones were active at the time in that whole area if they choose. May not be able to use it in court anymore after the recent Supreme Court decision a few weeks ago on cell site location information. However, it's an investigative tool that they can line up who's there. They can also line these things up by the boat.
I bet just coincidentally, this motherfucking law come up Well, these people is crazy.
Right. And they're calling CETO and things like that. So these are all things the police are going to verify and shake out what they believe led to
Yeah, I
this
mean,
young
I can
man's
get
death.
the GPS, Morse. I can get the GPS. I can get the cell phone data. I can get the tracking data. I can tell exactly what time the boat left. But I can tell the truth of that. But I can't tell the truth right now about these conflicting reports. Was he on the boat? His phone was on the boat. That's the whole point. He's traveling with his phone, then he's on the boat. They're saying, no, he wasn't on the boat. Now this altercation has arisen, evidence of that emerging after the boat left. Who's telling the truth? The mom, his mom says, no way would he have let the boat leave without his phone. Okay, that said, the mom is getting death threats. Nolan Wells' mother dealing with not only her son is gone, he's dead. The investigation going on now, she's getting threats. Isn't it true, Susan Hendricks joining us, investigative journalist, author of Down the Hill, My Descent into the Double Murder in Delphi, that someone actually called for an investigation into Nolan Wells' mother? Isn't she a home health care nurse?
She is, and it was an anonymous call saying that she needed to be investigated. To me, it was outright backlash connected to what happened to her son. It's despicable considering everything she's already going through. Anonymous calls to say that she's not up to par and needs to be investigated. It's sickening.
They apply a simple test. If a person genuinely watched two people struggling in the water, struggling badly enough that it registered as alarming, what do they do next? They shout. They point. They go in. They tell somebody. They come forward afterward. What they don't do is watch, turn around, and carry on with their afternoon. That's not forensics. That's not law. That's just asking whether a story behaves the way human beings behave. And it's a test almost anyone can run at home, on almost any claim, in almost any case. I'd encourage you to use it liberally over the next few weeks, because there is going to be a lot of material to use it on. Note also where this claim came from. It was attributed on air to another commentator's program, a podcast, not to an investigator, not to a document. So you have a broadcast reporting on a podcast reporting on an anonymous account. Each layer sounds a little more official than the last, and not one of them adds a single verified fact. And then, near the end, a guest lays out the actual standard, photographic evidence, named witnesses, timing that can be independently placed, boat movement that can be checked against GPS. And the last item on that list is the one that matters most. Will the person come down, talk to law enforcement, and swear to what they're saying? That's the answer to the entire episode, and it comes from the guest, not the host. That's the line. On one side of it, you have information. On the other side, you have content. I'd note her name is Cheryl McCollum, spelled S-H-E-R-Y-L, and she runs the Cold Case Investigative Research Institute. She's an actual crime scene investigator, not a commentator, and it shows in that answer. Because everything she just described is available. Boats have GPS. Phones have location data. The sheriff's department has publicly asked for original, unedited photos and video from the island that day. The tools to resolve this exist. What's missing is people willing to put their names to what they claim to have seen. And this is where I want to slow all the way down. Nolan Wells' mother has lost her son and is now dealing with harassment on top of it. The families of the young men who were on that island have described receiving death
Well, of course, we know it's not a lynching because
threats.
Never mind.
Thousands of them, by one father's account. At least one person connected to that day has retained a lawyer. Nobody in this case has been charged with anything. The district attorney has said the matter will go before a grand jury once the investigation concludes. That is the process. It has not run yet. So when a claim moves from an anonymous message to a broadcast to your feed in the space of about a day, that is what it lands on. Real families on every side of it who are already having the worst summer of their lives. You can want the truth about what happened to Nolan Wells, badly, urgently, the way his parents want it, and still refuse to hand that want over to whoever shouts the loudest. So let me leave you with what is actually established, because it's short. Nolan Wells traveled to Horn Island on the morning of July 4th. He was last seen around 3 in the afternoon. The boat he arrived on left at 4:31 without him, and without, apparently, his phone. His body was recovered on July 6th. His cause and manner of death remain undetermined. The state's autopsy and toxicology results have not been publicly released. No charges have been filed. Everything else, the altercation, the audio, the struggle in the water, is unverified. Every last piece of it. There is a reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction, and it has grown past the figure quoted in that broadcast. If you have original photos or video from Horn Island on July 4th, the Jackson County Sheriff's Department has asked for it directly, and Ben Crump's team has a line open as well. I'll put the current numbers in the description, and I'll keep them updated as this moves. If this breakdown was useful to you, comment with what you'd want examined next. I read them, and they shape what I cover. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18 years old. He deserves an answer that holds up. I'll see you in the next one.
All right, folks, an update on the Nolan Wells case. Mississippi officials have confirmed the autopsy on Nolan Wells has been completed, although it's completed, no word on when it's going to be released. USA Today is reporting that Bailey C. Martin, a spokesperson for the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, to the state medical examiner, completed the initial autopsy on Wells on July 7th. Mississippi's 19th Circuit Court District Attorney Angel Myers-McElrath has said that key evidence, like the state's autopsy report, will remain under wraps until the case was presented to a grand jury. Now, we've all heard the audio and the enhanced audio from the emergency calls made by Nolan Wells' friend. Now, that audio is leading to more questions about what happened the day the 18-year-old disappeared and what led to his death. On Thursday, at the National Urban League's annual conference in Nashville, family attorney Ben Crump gave an update on the case, and his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley, they also had a lot to say about the investigation.
July 4th, Nolan Wells goes with friends, celebrating the 4th of July. All the friends come back. Nolan Wells tragically washes up on the shore 2 days later, dead. And so we know all the current events that have been happening. Also, and Attorney Hurst may go into greater detail on these matters, have consulted President Barrier with oceanic engineering experts to talk about how these facts are lining up. The fact that they say Nolan's body was found in the same location where they say they left him at. And so we want to know, how is that possible with the oceanic tides? We want that. I mean, you got low tides and high tides. It's not adding up, so we are going to dot every I and cross every T until we find out what happened to Nolan Wells. Attorney Hurst will also go into a little more detail, and Attorney Park, about how we're trying to coordinate with Dr. Roger Mitchell, who conducted the independent autopsy of Nolan Wells, to be able to inspect his throat that was missing with his body when he was flown to do the autopsy with Dr. Mitchell. Also, we are hopeful that they will discuss with Dr. Mitchell the photographs and observations made at the time when Nolan was first discovered, because Dr. Mitchell did not get an opportunity until July 10th to be able to examine his body. And at that time, we know the airways and the lungs had already been dissected and so forth, so we can't tell if there was the presence of water. We want answers. We're not casting aspersions on anybody. We are saying that we want to make sure everybody who is remotely involved has their questions answered, to make sure we have a full and fair and impartial and transparent investigation. And is that too much to ask for these broken-hearted parents? Is that too much to ask? That's all. If it was your child, wouldn't you want the same thing? And I get it, they're attacking me, they're attacking Reverend Al, they're attacking the parents of Nolan Wells. We don't care about those distractions. We ain't no waste time. To Byron Allen for donating $100,000 to the GoFundMe so we can help get the best experts in the world. I am thankful to Reverend Al Sharpton. I am thankful to Mr. Tyler Perry. I'm thankful to Mr. Terrell Owens. I am very thankful to everybody who did not think it robbery to say, what can we do to help people get to the truth and call in to the tip line so we can help not only Nolan Wells' family, but we can help Daniel Irvin's family, and we can help Tyler Smith's family as well. Everybody on social media, please continue to ask questions. Please continue to share photographs, share video, all helps us solve this potential of what happened to Nolan Wales. I mean, this is so important. Somebody saw something. Somebody knows something. As Christine and Elroy have said, if you're really Nolan's friend, you know your heart of hearts that if the roles were reversed, that Nolan would say something. He would call and tell what he saw. And so that's all they're asking. Do for Nolan what he would have done for you. Do for Nolan what he would have done for you.
He was the person who would just make you feel comfortable just being in his space. He was never one to exclude. He always wanted everyone to be happy, to feel good, to have purpose. He would lift anyone up. It didn't even matter if he didn't know you. If you took that moment to just tell him a little bit about yourself, what you wanted to do in your life, right then. Thank you all so much again. We truly appreciate your love and support.
I'm faced with a new challenge every morning, and trying to process this. It's the biggest challenge I've ever had. I pretty much was raised up like a lot of you. I didn't have a lot, but I always said I wanted to give my children more than what I had. And I think me and my wife did it. We raised Nolan to love everyone, be kind to everyone, because it was just.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Tactical Troll. Good evening. Who else we got here? Miss or Lim Boston. Good evening. Tony Clifton. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Marvelous. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening to everybody. PJ, what's going on? PJ, what's going on? Miss Cece, hey, Miss Cece, how you doing tonight, goddess? You feel me? Edward, what's going on? Edward, what's going on? How everybody doing? How everybody doing?
Right there to do. I got a lot of stuff, but what I really want to say is, like my wife said, if you know something, and you are really, if Nolan was really your best friend, or for the people who say that he was their friend, please come forward and tell us what you know. All we want to know is the truth. We're not blaming anyone. We just want to know the truth. Any parent. Also, the disrespect that's been coming toward my wife and my family. For any parent, no matter what race you are, they need time to grieve. A parent can't grieve when you have people attacking them, attacking their jobs, attacking their character, just attacking them, period. Like, where's the empathy? We, as Americans, this is a diverse country. Not one race made this country. We all made this race. So we all need to come together. And like I said, if you know something, please come forward and just call our attorneys, give them information, and they'll take it and just help us out. Not just us, but all these families need answers. Anyone with information on any one of these cases, please come forward. Because losing a child is something that you have to do to keep us alive.
You know, folks, we have to continue explaining to people who don't seem to understand what a legal strategy is about. Candace, I look at Threads, I look at Instagram, I look at Twitter, and I see these people acting a fool, criticizing Ben Crump, not understanding that when Crump goes to the NAACP convention in Chicago with the Nolan Wales family, when he goes to Nashville with the Wells Family International Urban League Convention, what he is doing is, the legal strategy is you're keeping the story on the front page, at the top of the newscast,
Their life
in the
and
minds of
family.
people. If you do not have a media strategy, what then happens is case goes quiet. Now let me be real clear. I see Nancy Grace doing interviews, Don Lemon's doing stuff, these other shows are doing stuff. The reason I have not done a lot of the stuff that they've done, because we have no new information. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and I'm not debating that idiot Tatum over an interview he did with one of the guys. That is a waste of my damn time. I'm not interviewing somebody. Well, let me talk to them, get the analysis of that audio. And again, if folk want to do that, that's what they want to do. But the reality is, it's not any information. But the job of Crump is to keep the attention on the case. Otherwise, Mississippi will gladly allow it to just fade away.
You are exactly correct, because what we've been seeing is speculation. And as you said, there's no new information, and the information that they do have, they're not sharing because it's going to the grand jury, which is a closed proceeding. So I agree with you 100% that all the talk around this, I hope that it can die down, because what you said is correct also. The accountability for the justice system, a lot of it these days happens in the media. Without it, you are not going to keep the case alive. You are not going to get things as quickly as you want. And you are not going to get accountability. Remember that the police already spoke down there and talked about how this was an accident. They already came to their conclusion without an investigation. So that is what we were dealing with, which is why Ben Crump and everybody else involved has to keep this story alive. Now that it goes to the grand jury, we are on a fact-finding mission. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigations has already interviewed dozens of people. The people who were on the boat with Nolan, there were about 6 or 7 people. There were quite a few. They have to be talked to. They subpoenaed, the parents of Nolan subpoenaed the records and made sure to tell Meta and Google, preserve all the records. This is evidence collecting time, whether it's the engineering reports, whether it's the digital footprint. This is the time where you get all the information. Oh, as well, we have the state autopsy, and then we have the autopsy done by Dr. Roger Mitchell in Washington, D.C. So all of that is what the grand jury is now finally going to do. But this may not happen quickly. It will happen quicker, though, than if there wasn't all this attention. Why? Because it's a process, as you know, Roland. This is part of the legal strategy. Do things slowly, talk to everyone, keep the message out there, because now we're going through a discovery phase where we have to get all this information together to present it to members of the grand jury. So that is where we are. And hopefully people will kind of wait, because that really is what we are in the middle of right now. It's now just a wait and see. There's nothing anybody can do. The information is, we're not hearing about it as much. And that's where we are right now.
See, for me, Joy, I just can't. I hate speculation. I just can't sit here and do a whole show on speculation. And let me be real clear. It can get clicks. It can get views. That's great. But all you're doing is, in essence, repeating the same thing. And that's just not what I do.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. This is not a time for speculation. We want to keep the pressure up. We also want to send to anyone who was there, this isn't going to go away. People are not going to forget. So we want you to tell the truth, whatever happened. We're not presupposing. And I love what his parents said. We're not indicting you in advance. We're not saying that. But we do want to know the truth, because things are not matching up. And we know when things don't make sense, it's because we're missing some part of the story. So this isn't going to go away. If you don't want this following you for the rest of your life, you need to tell the truth. You need to come forward. You need to say it. And the pressure up is very important. And that's why we're doing it. But no, we should not be speculating about what we think happened, what might have happened. One, because that can also lead us down the wrong path. This is about, creating.
Yeah, because what happens is because all the speculation, all it does is get people talking about stuff that's not factual on social media, and then it just simply clouds everything, Michael. And that's the problem when folks just start, well, I think this and I think that, I think this here. If you do not operate from a set of facts, all you do is contributing to the nonsense.
And that's their point. That's their purpose. Unfortunately,
You know, Roland, you've been doing this a long time. I haven't been doing this as long as you, but I've been doing this 16 years, right? And I take a certain factual approach when I cover stories. I've covered thousands of stories. You and I connected when I used to guest host your nationally syndicated radio show. There's things that I see on social media, and people are just making money off of this story, just putting nonsense out. Okay. And these are people who have no conscience. All right. So I hope they get the truth, whatever it is. And the family said this repeatedly. They just want to know what happened to Nolan Wells. They want the facts. And we talked about this last Friday, Roland, with the district attorney, Angel Myers McElrath, saying that they're going to the grand jury. And if people look at the piece from ABC News that talks about the autopsy being completed, the official autopsy, it said in that piece that the DA's office said convening a grand jury does not mean there is any criminality and is standard procedure for most unnatural or suspicious deaths in the county. And last Friday I asked the question, if they go to the grand jury, who's the suspect going to be? So we don't know if they have a suspect already or if there won't be. Don't know. Whatever it is, we want the facts. We want the truth to come up.
All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, her Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But also, it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year, north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what did she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games. And people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's Chapter.
Keeping track of stock levels and sales used to be my biggest nightmare with my e-commerce store. Now, Xero makes it easy.
Folks, last night we had a conversation on the show where I talked about these executive orders and how MAGA and Donald Trump, how they are specifically targeting.
All right, so man, you know, that's enough on Nolan Wells, man. I just seen something. So matter of fact, let me see if I can read. So Donald Trump just released an executive order. Literally just synced this. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Donald Trump. Oops. Let's see what this executive order. This is ridiculous, man. The world, man, listen. Yesterday I asked the question, man, world, what are we doing? You know, I started off today's broadcast with, you know what I'm saying, all this negative energy and things that we put into this world, man. We just tearing it up and we tearing each other up, man. And it seems like, shit, we don't even care. Crazy. It's crazy. We gotta get it. Gotta get it. And it might be about the birthright, right? That's what I think it's about. Because it said that, you know, we the only ones that have rights or something like that. But I can't find the article. But let's get into what he's saying.
Now, many folks are like, well, man, I don't know about all of that. But what have I always told y'all? You have to follow the money. That if you're not having a money conversation, you're not having an American conversation. So you often hear me refer to the Reconstruction periods on this show. And I mentioned that.
So Trump signs new executive orders targeting birthright citizenship. President Donald Trump signed 2 executive orders Thursday aiming at limiting birthright citizenship in the United States, renewing an immigration policy fights weeks after the Supreme Court rejected an earlier effort. Reuters reported that the new order takes a narrower approach, focusing largely on the birth tourism, a term used by the administration for the foreign nationals who travel to the United States to give birth. The measures also address citizenship for some children born to foreign government employees and people classified as alien enemies. The White House argues that these situations fall within historical exceptions, the citizenships protected of the 14th Amendment. Trump's previous executive order had applied more broadly to children whose parents were neither U.S. citizens nor permanent residents. The Supreme Court struck down that earlier policy on June 30th, 2026. The new executive orders are expected to face additional legal challenges, with immigration advocates arguing that the birth citizenship remains constitutionally protected. What is that? Protected or projected? Protected.
All the time. Why do I mention that? It is because you've heard me also say, in the history of America, every time there's been a period of Black success, there's been a longer period of white backlash. And see, now you got people like Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Chris Murphy and others, and who.
Mind you, this is just the content. This is not all people's belief about the content. So I don't want nobody getting mad and nobody saying that my channel is this, that, and the third. My beliefs and my understandings are not the beliefs and understandings of this man that's speaking. I'm not. Do I agree with some things? Yes. Do I disagree with some things? Yes. But overall, his understandings and my understandings, we just listening.
Just for them, no. This is not race. This is class. That's not what it is. But no, they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. See, what you have to realize is that if you go back to the first Reconstruction, if you really want an understanding of this, and I guarantee you, if Greg was at home, he would reach back and grab it if he was there. If you really want to understand this, you have to understand this. This is called Black Reconstruction in America, 1860 to 1880, written by W.E.B. Du Bois. This here, y'all, for those of you, if you include the bibliography, if you even include the index, this is a 746-page book where he talks about the period of Reconstruction. What is the period of Reconstruction? It is that period after the end of the Civil War when you had a focus of the radical Republicans, which is not today's Republican Party, the radical Republicans. And if y'all really want to learn some history, go look up Thaddeus Stevens. These radical Republicans, they had no interest in bipartisanship. They wanted to change America. They said, damn the other people, we got the majority, run the bills through. And that's how you got the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, which are called the Reconstruction Amendments. That's when you begin to look at the Civil Rights Act that was passed in the 1860s that provided a framework for African Americans to be able to access, listen to y'all, contracts. I don't think some of y'all heard what I just said. One of those laws that was passed, it was not passed in 1854. It wasn't around the same time as Dred Scott decision. This particular act was passed because the radical Republicans understood that coming out of Reconstruction, that the freed people of African descent needed to be able to access the economic levers of the country in order for them to be able to move ahead. Now,
This, if you look at real quick here, I pulled it up. You see this AI overview. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 was the first federal law in the United States to define citizenship and protect the civil rights of all citizens. It also was a bill that dealt with economics. It was economics. And so what began to happen during Reconstruction? I would argue at the Reconstruction period, the first one, is the most successful period in the history of America for people of African descent. Because what happens during the Reconstruction period, you then begin to see free people of African descent running for state legislature. You see them being elected to Congress. Do y'all realize that in which we now know to be hardcore right-wing Confederate, the first state that seceded from the Union because they wanted to support slavery, South Carolina, that had a majority black legislature? Because you know why? The black folks, they're the numbers. Do y'all even recognize that taxpayer-funded education is a result of those free people of African descent putting it in the state constitution? James D. Anderson's book, The Education of Blacks in the South, 1860 to 1935, details that. You then begin to see, I know a lot of people get caught up in 40 acres and a mule, but black folks were not waiting on 40 acres and a mule. They began to acquire property. They began to open businesses. You then begin to see, we talk about Black Wall Street in Tulsa in 1921 burning down. You literally had Black Wall Streets happening all over the country beginning during Reconstruction. But what then happened? And you can look at Eric W.B. Du Bois' book, or if you want to, you can read Eric Foner's book, Reconstruction, America's Unfinished Revolution. He has it from 1863 to 1877. 1877 is kind of important. I'm about to get to it. So what then happens? All of a sudden, you begin to see African Americans creating opportunities, but passing bills. You begin to see them building things and doing things and opening schools. And all of a sudden, you begin to have white folks who then go, you know what? That's enough. We done enough for these Negroes. Listen, we about tired of hearing about all this stuff we need to do. Yeah, I know we had them enslaved for 200 plus years, but can we just move along? We don't have time. White America started getting tired of doing things for those people. We've done enough for those people. Then there's an election, 1876, a contested election. Sounds quite familiar. And so the Republicans and the Democrats then all of a sudden begin to say, well, you know what? The Democrats say, well, hey, why don't we do this here? We're going to let y'all go ahead and y'all can go ahead and y'all had a presidency. But we're going to do a deal. Y'all got to pull these federal troops in the last 3 remaining southern capitals. Oh, I'm sorry. Remember I told y'all they kept saying we're getting tired of that? See, what happened was they put federal troops in state capitals to ensure that the Dixiecrats, the racists, would not take over. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. See, one of the big mistakes of Lincoln and the radical Republicans, of course, remember Lincoln gets assassinated, being he is followed by an absolute violent racist, Andrew Johnson. What then happens, he then goes, you know what? To hell with that. We're going to return the land to the slave owners if they apologize for what they did. So America put the folk back in power who were the ones who led to the Civil War. So what then happens, you then begin to have this election, it gets contested. And so then there's a compromise. We ain't in the room. The white folks were making a deal. And that's known as the Great Compromise of 1877. Do y'all know what came after the Great Compromise of 1877? The Reconstruction period ended. That's when the period of Jim Crow started. These white folks were like, no, we have done enough for these black people. We are sick and tired of doing this. So then we come around to a second Reconstruction. All of a sudden, Emmett Till gets killed August 28th, 1955. Then all of a sudden, you have these black women in Montgomery, Alabama, the Women's Council who were organizing and they were doing what they were supposed to do. Then all of a sudden, you then begin to have these black women. It was not the black preachers. It was not the black men. It was the black women in Montgomery, Alabama, who were the ones who started the Montgomery bus boycott. Then Rosa Parks sits down. Then it begins December 1st, 1955. They begin to bring them to their knees. But understand, Montgomery, it went all the way to the Supreme Court, but then Montgomery buckled because it was a money thing, y'all. That began a 13-year odyssey when you begin to see the fight over civil rights, and you then begin to see the laws passed, the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65, the Fair Housing Act of 1968. And guess what happened? You had these Republicans who actually were supportive of civil rights. And all of a sudden, Barry Goldwater runs for president in 1964. He was a senator from Arizona. And then what does Barry Goldwater do? Barry Goldwater then he opposes the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That was his bedrock. King was so offended by that King actually campaigned for President Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1964, something that he never did. But they said it was so important for Goldwater not to win because Barry Goldwater was going to stop civil rights in its tracks. Why is that important? Why is Barry Goldwater's opposition to the 64 Civil Rights Act so important? Because the 64 Civil Rights Act dealt with public accommodations. It dealt with you couldn't bar people from restaurants and transportation. It went on and on and on. Oh, well, I'm sorry. That means that you couldn't bar people. You could not discriminate against people. And so guess what? They inserted women into the 64 Civil Rights Act. That racist from Virginia, Judge Smith, thinking that would kill the bill. It actually helped pass the bill. That's important because you can now go to Title IX, and that's one of the reasons why it was passed, because of the 64 Civil Rights Act, provision of the Civil Rights Act. So why is this important? Because what happens? King gets killed April 4th, 1968, assassinated. 69, Nixon becomes president. Arthur Fletcher brings in fourth affirmative action. You have a period from 68 to the early 80s where black mayors begin to take over. You begin to see contracts, quotas, affirmative action, dollars. Second Reconstruction. You had dollars flowing during the first one. You had dollars flowing during the second one. All of a sudden, you get to the 80s. Nixon, he's gone. Carter's president. Reagan runs. Oh, the same President Ronald Reagan, who he was governor of California, running for governor of California, supported a bill for white folks not allowing them not to sell their houses to black people. Some of y'all gonna pay attention. The same Reagan who became governor, who when the Black Panthers brought their guns to the state capitol, they immediately outlawed carrying long rifles. They said, oh, hell no, that was actually legal. The same Reagan who changed the rules that caused for tuition in college for you to be charged because they did not want the regular, ordinary, common man to become educated. Man, some of y'all are going to have to learn some damn history. So what then happened? So here you have a period from 69 to about 82, 83. And Reagan wins in 1980, inaugurated 1981. What does Reagan then do? Reagan begins to go after affirmative action programs. You then begin to see the lawsuits happen. Then you begin to see the decisions coming down out of the Supreme Court, where they then began to put constraints on affirmative action. That's an economic situation. And Reagan, in his 8 years, begins to unleash holy hell economically against black people. And then what happens on May 25th, 2020? George Floyd is killed. George Floyd is killed on May 25th, 2020. And folk like me said, y'all, this is the third Reconstruction. We said in that aftermath that unlike the first two, which largely focused on civil rights, although economics was a part of it, this should be solely focused on civil rights. What happens in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd? You begin to see white people and Latino folks, and you begin to see Asians protesting, shutting companies down, forcing them to make economic commitments to be change agents. And white conservatives went, oh, shit. We can't have this. We cannot have a generation or two of young white people who are reading and being educated about the real history of America. There's no coincidence. The attacks on critical race theory comes after George Floyd's death. Oh, some of you may say, well, I still don't understand. What's the deal here? Because the attacks on CRT and the attacks on wokeness were all designed to drive a wedge through conscious white people and the folk who wanted to keep the system the same. You had white people in companies who were forcing them. Adidas announced a $10 million commitment, and the white folks in the company lost their mind so much the next day the CEO said, oh, it's going to be $100 million. Companies pledged 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 billion in economic commitments in the wake of the death of George Floyd. And then the right said, no, we cannot have this. Oh, no, hell no. Remember, May 25th, 2020, Trump was in the White House. We cannot have this because if we have this coalition of young white people who now all of a sudden becomes conscious, who all of a sudden becomes awake, then all of a sudden we are guaranteed to lose elections in the future. And so what do they then begin to do? They begin to complain about books. They begin to complain about what they're seeing in libraries and what then happens. They begin to run for school board. Moms for Liberty begins to rise up. And so they take all of that fury in 2021 and begin to win. And that goes into 2022. It sets up the return of Donald Trump. But what a lot of people have been missing is that Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1954 leads to, of course, in 1955. And all of a sudden you begin to see the changes made by those federal judges. And so the hardcore right goes, damn it, we got to combat this. And the civil rights laws beginning to come in 1960. And they said, no, we can't have this. And then all of a sudden, because of what black people did, fighting for civil rights, and then it was black people's fighting for civil rights, which opened the doors for immigrants to be able to come into the country. Thank you, Indian Americans. You're welcome, Pakistani Americans. You're welcome, Asian Americans, because that's black people make that happen. Then the white folks said, oh, hell no. This all of a sudden, this multiracial America, we ain't having that. That's why you begin to see rich folks, the Mellons of the world, begin to fund the Heritage Foundation, fund the conservative think tanks, because they needed to establish a structure to reframe America, because we cannot have a multiracial America where these people are going to be in power. So we are going to attack economics, affirmative action. We're going to attack voting rights. We're going to attack everything which is the underpinning of the society. All these things happen, which is why, folks, you have a Robert Mercer, billionaire, funder of Breitbart. What does he do? This is what he said. Go to my iPad. Mercer often argued that the 1964 Civil Rights Act was a mistake. According to the New Yorker, a former employee claimed that Mercer asserted repeatedly that African Americans were better off economically before the civil rights. Mercer allegedly claimed that black people were racist, and they were no more racist, that there were no more white racists. He said black people were racist and that there were no more white racists. That's the billionaire Robert Mercer, who was one of the biggest funders of Donald Trump in the 2016 election, who was the chief funder of Breitbart. This election, you had Charlie Kirk, the CEO of Turning Point USA, who was organizing and galvanizing young white folks on college campuses all across the country, especially young white men. This is what Charlie Kirk said about the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Be clear, created a beast, and that beast has now turned into an anti-white weapon.
Yeah, and that's the reality. And so we just need to fundamentally relook at a lot of our civil rights legal regime. And without that, even though I don't think it's sort of the magic bullet, but I think without that, there's limits to the amount of progress we're going to make.
Let's talk about discourse and dialogue. This topic would have been even more forbidden 4 or 5 years ago, but it's now becoming in more and more mainstream circles. Is that because the problem is becoming worse, or but our side is more courageous to confront it?
Did y'all hear that? We couldn't talk about this 4 or 5 years ago, but now we can. That's a person who literally has the ear of the person sitting in the Oval Office. We do not understand that the executive orders that have been issued this week, the attacks on affirmative action in colleges and admissions, they are getting rid of programs, scholarship programs. They're getting rid of internship programs. They're getting rid of access. What this is about is the complete attack. And this is the goal of exactly what they did in 1877. This is no different than when the white racists in Mississippi convened the Constitutional Convention in 1890. And they said, we cannot let these niggas keep voting. Oh, I know, I'm sorry. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, he doesn't use that language, but it's essentially what they did when they gutted Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act. The attacks on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Do understand right now, you have at least 4 Supreme Court justices who would love to completely get rid of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And why this is important is because the 1964 Civil Rights Act is the enforcement mechanism that has led to all of these changes for Black America since that period. So what they understand, if we assault the 1964 Civil Rights Act and get rid of that, and then we completely get rid of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, what we have effectively done is gutted Black leadership and African Americans from being able to take advantage of what happens in this country. So while a lot of y'all are bullshitting around on whether you can be on fucking TikTok, while you're getting caught up in some bullshit housewife, while you're having your fucking MJ and LeBron debates on who's the GOAT, there is literally, as we speak, an entire focus to gut every single civil right and economic gain that we have had since 1964, because they are pissed with those three acts. They're pissed with the Brown versus Board of Education Act. You have voucher bills that are being pushed in Texas and Tennessee and other places to gut public education. What we have to understand is there is a vicious assault to completely defund Black America. So why did I wear what I'm wearing today? We had this sister on the show. She launched her own athletic apparel company, shoe company as well. So what I'm wearing, y'all, is all Black owned. Well, we have to understand, King talked about it in his sermon on April 3rd, 1968. What do you think this was about? Operation Breadbasket, an untold story of civil rights in Chicago, 1966 to 1971 by Martin Depp. This was about the money. And when you have corporations who are now afraid, who are scared to death, oh, Costco is standing up to them. McDonald's buckled. Walmart buckled. Jack Daniels buckled. If you want to understand what Black folks should be doing, every Black person right now should be saying, the hell with Jack Daniels. Don't ever buy Jack Daniels again. You don't want to stand with us, especially when you are a company that even exists because a Black man showed you how to do it. We should be saying, get Uncle Nearest. Black folks should be saying, Hennessy, where do you stand? Yeah, we're going to stop drinking your stuff too. The only way we are going to counter what is happening right now, this effort to defund Black America, is to say, keep playing with us, we're going to defund your company. Because there are companies that depend upon Black market share. Car companies, soda companies, fast food companies, clothing companies. Black America, music companies, entertainment companies. But the question is, do we have the actual courage to use the power that we have? Greg, I'm going to go to you first. Because
we don't.
This is about the money. And the money is about power. And the power is about control. And they are executing an agenda, a radical agenda that will absolutely do economic harm to Black people for the next century?
Yes, absolutely. I think it was a masterful walkthrough, Roland, very necessary, an important level set for folks who really think this is about one election or one candidate's policies, or whether you like their spouse, or whether they smoke weed when they were in college. Silly things, as you said. The framework that you laid out really helps us connect the dots. This entire, when I call the United States a criminal enterprise, it's not an original criminal enterprise. It is an extension of a half millennium of criminal enterprise called the modern world system. This is a process that did not involve the entire world. It came out of Western Eurasia, what we now call Europe, that combines culture and commerce and politics in terms of state formation. So when we talk about Spain and Portugal, we talk about Holland, we talk about England and France, and we're not talking about Germany, because Germany hasn't formed in a way, and that's what World War I and World War II about. Basically, they were like, we didn't get the jump that y'all got, riding African peoples back into modernity. That's what, of course, Howard French is writing about in his book, Born in Blackness. But what you just laid out for us, it's about the money. You're absolutely right. And the money is a proxy for a larger concept of economics. There is no concept of citizenship that comes out of Africa. The ancient Egyptians did not have a concept, at least one has not been discovered yet. Certainly a concept of belonging and being part of community, but the concept of the civitas, the concept of the polis that comes out of Greece and Rome really find voice in Western Eurasia as these people began to fight. And by these people, I mean the rich, the elites, began to fight. This is what Magna Carta was about in the 13th century, began to fight over resources. That's what drives land poor and resource poor Europe into boats to go visit this cancer on the rest of the world. And what does that have to do with us right now? Well, the United States of America, and with all due respect to a concept of a 1619 project, it isn't just the British in Virginia, it's the Spanish in what becomes South Carolina and New Mexico. It's the French in the Mississippi Valley. It's the Dutch in what we now call New York, that was New Amsterdam. They are trying, in other words, to colonize the world for profit. And when the dust settles after their colonies turn on them, the most prominent set of colonies turning on the home country being, of course, the so-called American Revolution, which was fighting over property. Now you have the problem that you've introduced us to, Roland. What do you do with people who entered this legal framework as property? This is the Federalist Papers. This is the debates over the Constitution. We are not people. Understand that the idea that Africans are people is a radical concept to these Europeans who saw us the same way they saw the chickens and the gold and the silver and the cotton and indigo. So what do you do with these people? And here is the problem that they had. You couldn't kill us, and you needed our labor to continue your criminal enterprise. So, Roland, when you laid out the Reconstruction and the Reconstruction Amendments, that is the critical thing. When you evoke what is a property document, understand the U.S. Constitution isn't about rights. It's about rights to make profit. It's a property document. It's a document about free enterprise. It's a document about trade. Private property is the central concept for the criminal enterprises of these people from Europe and their colonies. And what they codify in the three branches of the federal constitution is a concept of private property, but one problem. You got 4 million of us by the 1860s, and we're not going into that good night quietly. And you're in a global system where you want to expand, and everybody else is in the game of exploitation. So when that Civil War is over, and we fought our own way out of the Civil War, the South wants to continue to profit. The North is trying to keep it together. That's what Abraham Lincoln is trying to do. But ultimately, the decision of slavery, that decision was called because we, who remember, came into that conflict as so-called contraband, meaning what? Property. We took the step to free ourselves. That's what, as you say, Du Bois is writing about in Black Reconstruction in America. The Civil Rights Act of 1866, you see the conflict codified. Why? Because they're saying that African people coming into this now will have a concept of citizenship to beat back that Dred Scott concept, where Tiny doubles down on the idea that we're property. They say, part of that language, which is why Byron Allen seized on it, is that we will now have not just political rights, but the right to make and enforce contracts. Now Africans are in the legal universe no longer as property. Sure, citizenship is emerging, but now there's an economic stake. This is a problem. The problem's codified in the 14th Amendment, but watch what happens last. And you've gone through the history, so I'm not going to repeat that. I'm just going to fast forward now to Lewis Powell. who I know you've talked about many times, that Powell memorandum that he writes when he's in the Chamber of Commerce in the United States, living in Northern Virginia, and he says, since this civil rights movement has seen these African people attempt to assert a concept of citizenship that they should never have had, and since the 14th Amendment has been eviscerated, as Du Bois writes about, and then used to extend the economic contract through the idea that corporations are legal entities in the form of people. That's what they use the 14th Amendment for, since they've been eviscerating it since the end of Reconstruction. Lewis Powell says we've got to now claw back the concept of private property, claw back the idea of free trade and commerce. And 3 years later, the Heritage Foundation is created. And the first of Project 2025, the first mandate for leadership is created. And so I'll end with this. What you have done, Roland, is put it where the goats could get it, as Joe Madison would say. In a global system that is built on the concept of property dispossession and taking other people's labor, other people's land, that's why we're here having this conversation in English. The thing that has become ungovernable is the concept that whiteness can continue to run the world. They have no choice but to do what they are doing right now. Because the only way you can maintain some kind of political apparatus to keep this going is to ground it in an irrational, vibe-driven concept of whiteness. And the elites, whether it be Elon Musk, who will never get out of bed with China. This is what this electric vehicle stuff is about, because he's over there right now, back and forth. Whether it be the other billionaires who could give a damn about citizenship or anything else, their concept is global, whether it be Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, or anyone else. At the center of this is this unruly group of people, these Africans, these indigenous people, these people who simply refuse to die and refuse to go away. You cannot pour your hopes and dreams into this concept of the United States. What you have to pour your hopes and dreams into is yourself, and take a page from every other group in this 500-year fight who have put themselves first, and then you stand from a position of strength to begin to negotiate. But you talking a language they don't understand. When you start talking about we are Americans, we're better than this. Nah. And you just walked us through why.
See, people literally don't even realize how they get played, Nola. This is what the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon in chief said on Monday at the Insurrection Fest at the U.S. Capitol. Guys, the video from the inauguration. You had it up earlier. Yes, the video from the inauguration. They requested when he thanked black people.
We had a powerful win in all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day. In his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true.
And what did that liar do? Gut the very things the king fought for. And if you black and you fail for that bullshit, you are a dumbass, Nola.
He couldn't even get it out. He couldn't even finish the statement because it wasn't authentic. He couldn't even finish the end of the statement that we're going to make his dream come true. Lies. And, I'm so happy that we're talking about Du Bois because, in the great debate between Booker T. Washington and Du Bois, in many, many ways, I am a Du Boisian. And I'm going to kind of come back to this MLK, this kind of worship, at the altar of MLK when it's MLK Day. And I would also say, don't be surprised if they circle back and try to not make MLK a federal national holiday. I'm gonna just go ahead and put that out there. But, as we're having this conversation, Roland, as you're walking us through the different reconstructions, the one thing that is rolling around in my head, and, Greg made so many salient points, that question that Du Bois asked in A Soul of Black Folk, how does it feel to be a problem? It is a question that is so it's so salient in this moment, because what you're talking about is Black people have been a problem in this country since the day we were stolen from Africa and brought here illegally. We have been a problem because you can't get rid of us. Everything has been tried. You treated us like cattle. You enslaved us. You put us on plantations. There was Jim Crow, Black codes, everything you can think of. We have survived. And every time we surpass a little bit of surviving and maybe get to thriving, to your point, it is completely taken away from us. And, you know, I had posted something on my Instagram, not the popular speeches from MLK, but it was this one quote that he said, basically, how dare you ask of a man to pull himself up by his bootstraps when he does not own any boots? That's paraphrasing. And so essentially, this is like, this is the story of Black person, the Black person in America. How do you expect us to continue to fight over and over and over and over when people are constantly trying to steal our boots? The raggedy boots we may have on, that we are proud to wear, and they are constantly trying to take our boots. And I'm such a Du Boisian. I actually have him on my international relations and race syllabus, something that I got a lot of side eyes for, but I don't care. But you really have to think about this in a context of what we've represented from day one in this country. And also, I'm going to bring in Barack Obama into this. The fact that that Black man was the president of this country and pretty much went 8 years unscathed, you know, no major dramas outside of the tan suit, you know, him and his really Black wife, you know, that did something to white America. It drove them insane, right? It literally drove them insane. So everything that we're seeing is successive. Everything is successive. And you want to even go further back to that. I always tell people, if you've never seen Black Klansman, please watch Black Klansman and watch it until the end. Because what Spike Lee does at the end of that movie with David Duke and how they have been generationally trying to get to a Project 2025 moment, they have been putting in the work for generations. They have been reworking and retooling. And this is where we are now. We've made too many strides. There's been a Negro as the president. Oh, no. No. These Black folks are being way too fancy. Way too fancy. We have to snatch their boots. And this is a moment that we're in right now. The snatching of the boots. When you told us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, oh, but that's DEI, right? That's not merit. We didn't deserve any of those boots that we put on ourselves. So here we are again. They're trying to make us bootless. But what we do know is how to be a damn problem in the United States of America.
See, Larry, I love these people, especially my haters who out see Larry, they were, you know, yeah, rolling my trying to tell y'all to vote and why you gotta vote and all this. Guess what? The conservatives were waiting for us to be stupid. The conservatives were waiting for us to sit on the couch. For all y'all smart asses out there, let me help y'all out. Do y'all know the justification that Chief Justice John Roberts gave for gutting Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act? It came post-election of Obama. He said, well, since they voting in record numbers, there's no need for Section 4. And guess what has happened since 2012? Our vote numbers went down in 2014, in 2016, in 2018, in 2020, in 2022, in 2024. We didn't show up in Louisiana, and guess what? Crazy, deranged, MAGA Jeff Landry was elected. There are more eligible Black voters in Texas than any state in the union. And guess what? We barely are hitting 50%. Even in places like Atlanta, where you should be seeing turnout at 50 and 60 and 70 and 75%. No, we're seeing turnout in mayoral elections at 18, 20, 22, and 26. And so what these conservatives are sitting here doing is saying, thank you. Thank you. We have so frustrated y'all. We have so devalued y'all. We have told y'all how the Democrats don't do nothing for y'all, so therefore you don't vote for them, and you sitting on the couch, all it does is solidify our power. And as a result, they are running the table in places all across the country. The reality is that there's no reason Republicans should ever have a supermajority in North Carolina. They don't have it now. But if black folks voted our numbers in North Carolina, that would never happen. In fact, if black folks would vote with our numbers in South Carolina would change. Georgia would change. Florida would change. Mississippi would change. When Mike Espy lost to Cindy Hyde-Smith in that special election, he lost by 65,000 votes. There were more than 100,000 eligible black people in Mississippi who could have voted, but who did not. And so for all of y'all who love to sit here and talk about, man, you always talking about vote. You always talking about voting. I don't know why you always talking about voting. Now you understand what happens when they have power. Now you understand when the partners come down and they get rid of, they sign executive orders and they begin to gut civil rights and economic rights. And now you understand when they change the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. Now you are about to see with your own eyes every single Generation Alpha, Generation Z, Millennial, Generation X, what it looks like to live close to Jim Crow. No, I know some of y'all are saying, Roland, this ain't Jim Crow because I can go to the club with a white woman. This ain't Jim Crow because I can go out and we can go here and I can use this water fountain. I can use this bathroom and I can go here. But you need to understand, and I'm telling you right now, mark it down, 7:40 p.m. Eastern on January 23rd. A year from now, you are going to see a dramatic drop in the number of contracts that black businesses have gotten from the federal government. You are going to see a year from now a dramatic drop in the contracts that black-owned businesses will receive from corporate America and from state governments and from county governments and city governments and school districts. You are about to see an economic calamity come down in black America because too many of us set our asses on the couch, chose not to vote because we said, well, if I don't get nothing before I vote, then I'm not going to vote. Now you are witnessing with your very eyes what happens. And then what you have are some of these same people who I saw your tweets. Well, I'm saying that we got to do for self. We got to do for self. Let me explain to you, everybody who keeps talking about doing for self, please explain to me how you are going to do for self in an industry that requires contracts. Please tell me how you're going to do that. If you do not have black companies that control every aspect of the supply chain, then you cannot do for self. And so you cannot show me how in America that if black folks then begin to shut out of contracts from federal government, state government, county government, city government, school districts, how are you going to do that? Right now, you have an assault on federal workers because of MAGA. Black people over-index in federal worker jobs. We are a higher percentage of workers in the federal government than we are in the population of the United States. There are more black people who have high five-figure and six-figure jobs in government than we do in corporate America. So when you begin to see those attacks on the federal level, you're then going to begin to see black people not be able to get the jobs in corporate America, which now means you can't buy a house. You means you cannot save money. You cannot invest money. You cannot afford to send your kids to college. And then when they cut Pell Grants, you can't send your kids to college to HBCUs because you don't have the $75 and $80 and $100,000 a year job, because now what are you going to be able to do? And so I need people to understand, Larry, this is what happens when you choose not to exercise that one basic power of voting. Then what you begin to do is lead to an economic catastrophe in the Black community and all of the work that people put in to create even what we got, which was not perfect. We are about to see, and I'm telling y'all it's happening, we are about to see not an erosion of what we built up. You are about to see an economic catastrophe that will take another century to rebuild.
Roland, you give the harsh reality for where we are right now, as in terms of the Black community. And essentially, before the election, people dismissed a lot of racist rhetoric and said it was nothing. Ignore it. It won't have any impact about our livelihood. But some folks, and particularly I'm talking to the brothers out there, 21% of brothers who voted in the wrong direction. Essentially, what you believed is that it's okay to be like a lived-in hostage, because that's essentially what happened. Is Black folks would be like lived-in hostages, because you talked about the economic impact, and this is connected to the political impact. I also want to mention when you provided that timeline, one of the things we need to do, what's really important, is folks need to make sure they educate themselves. So I'm going to recommend you read Just Permanent Interest by former Congressman and CBC, one of the founders of CBC, William Clay Jr., Senior, in terms of understanding it, in terms of where we started, where we are as a Black community. And so Roland, your point about how long this is going to take in terms to reverse all these issues that we're going to deal with as a community. And I don't think folks are really prepared. We've seen the last 48 hours. It's essentially kind of like a shock and awe in terms of the executive orders. But we talk about there's a significant number of Black folks who work for the federal government, not only in the DC area, but throughout the United States. And so you see, essentially, they put out a RAT request. If there are any DEI programs that they think they missed, if you don't report it, they're going to fire you too. So now you're going to have folks turn on other people who maybe have nothing to do with DEI, submit their people's names, and they may lose their job. And of course, these folks are going to be disproportionately Black. So what does that leave many people in our community as it relates to economics? The other thing I want to highlight, Roland, in terms of we talk about this historical nature issue about racism in America, is I need the folks to go back and check out the debate between, we had the debate in Cambridge, Massachusetts, between Baldwin and Buckley in 1965.
The same Buckley who supported the Civil Rights Act until Barry Goldwater wrote his book, The Conscience of a Conservative.
Right. And so the title of the debate was "The American Dream is at the Expense of the American Negro." And like many people, I've seen it a number of times, but I need some folks to go back and watch that important debate. And we know Buckley is kind of the father of the modern conservative, network we see today. But it's really important in terms of historically for Black folks to understand that the fight that we're undergoing now has consistently happened for centuries. But at least at some point, particularly like I said, I talked about earlier with the Great Society programs, that we had some kind of success in terms of ending Jim Crow. And then we've seen some other opportunities. We talked about the election of President Obama, obviously of economic growth. Black folks had the opportunity to go to any higher education institution they want to, but then folks said that's too much. And we need to dismantle all of that. So what you're seeing is a complete reversal of all the success that we've seen over the last several decades. And folks are unprepared for it because they thought that, this is all, smoke and mirrors, this is all a game. No, we're in it now. And so what are we prepared to do? Because we have to continue to keep fighting, but we need to make sure we have obviously some policies in place in terms of initiatives, in terms of what we do strategically to address this issue. Because it is going to be a 24/7 fight to make sure that we maintain a minimum of some of the things we've gained over the last several decades, and then make sure not too many of these provisions are reversed, and then fight over the next several years, really for the next several generations, for some of the new laws to make sure to counter a lot of the challenges we've had.
And see,
we're in it now.
Right. But the mistake that people are making is y'all are looking at this through a Democratic and a Republic lens.
That's right.
I don't look at this stuff through a Democratic and a Republican lens. I look at this through a Black lens. I look at this through the eyes of a Black man. I'm looking at policies and I look at how people operate. Go to my iPad. Y'all, if you don't understand today's modern Republican Party, this is the book that changed it all. Barry Goldwater and the Conscience of a Conservative. What does it say right here? Edited by C.C. Goldwater, right? With a new foreword by George F. Will and a new afterword by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. See a whole bunch of y'all. Oh, I saw a bunch of y'all. Entertainers too. Y'all were talking about y'all were supporting Robert F. Kennedy. And you didn't even realize the game that he was running. Y'all didn't realize that. And I saw some of y'all, man, well, Kamala, she should have made an outreach to Robert F. Kennedy. Why? Everybody knew what RFK Jr. was. See, y'all ain't, see, y'all falling for the okie doke. When you are making a decision who to vote for, you make a decision based upon what I see, what I hear, how things are operating. Look at this here. All of these. Donald Trump said, I will end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. Y'all fell for it. Y'all sit here and y'all fall for all of this stuff, not even remotely realizing what is going on. You don't even understand, again, what is happening. Because you know what I hear? A lot of our people, man, I don't watch the news. I don't read stuff. So how in the hell can you be informed if you if you have no idea of what is happening even in the world? Oh, I see the numbers. I see the numbers. And let me be real clear. Let me be real clear. This is not a shot at folk I know. Oh, but I'll see y'all loving shenanigans in sports YouTube channels and commentaries. Oh, and everything is fun. But let me help y'all out. Let me help y'all. Do I still have the? Let me find it. Let me see if I can find it. On Facebook. I'm sorry. This actually was posted just yesterday. I'm trying to pull it up right now. And it showed all of the folks who are getting offer letters rescinded for jobs. Are y'all aware that there were scholarships that were awarded to Black folks and others that are now being rescinded? Are y'all aware that there are people who had jobs in the Department of Veteran Affairs where they're trying to take care of America's troops and they are rescinding jobs for those people? Oh, if y'all want to have the conversation, we can. And so what is happening before our very eyes, we are literally seeing massive changes take place. And some of us are just joking and playing and having so much fun. But I'm warning you. And they're not understanding this, Nola. They're targeting Black PhDs. They're targeting folks with masters. They're targeting every single one of the programs. See, we had some simple-minded Negro in the chat. Yeah, I voted for Harris, but Roland Martin was talking down to the regular people in the streets. And I'll say it, no problem, Panther 55. You can kiss my ass. Because, see, I can guarantee you I can go in the streets and, because, see, I know what I'm told. I know there are barbershops that are streaming our show in the barbershops. I know because I get the letters, and the brothers who were in prison stopped me and saying, man, I got through prison watching you. See, y'all can sit here with that bullshit all you want to. Oh, you the boule and y'all talking down. That is dumb as hell. Because first of all, right now is 5,500 people who are watching YouTube right now. Hey, dumbass, it's only 5,000 boule members. So guess what? And I guarantee you, the entire boule ain't watching me right now. But see, Nola, that's the Simple Simon shit that some of these folk don't realize. And while they sitting here yelling about, you in the boule, you ain't talk to regular people, guess what? You getting jacked. The programs that are happening, Oh, these things are going down as we speak. Nola, you are hearing from these people. You are hearing from I guarantee you are hearing from long-serving diplomats in the State Department, people who have given their lives to the federal bureaucracy, people who believe in what Ralph Bunche was doing, the first African-American to win a Nobel Peace Prize, who are summarily being dismissed because what they say. In fact, y'all don't even, do y'all have the clip where Donald Trump said he could tell who's an illegal immigrant? Play it.
Open borders with people pouring in, some of whom, I won't get into it, but you can look at them and you can say, could be trouble, could be trouble.
You can look at them and tell you could be trouble. That's what they are saying right now to black people in the federal government, Nola.
First and foremost, it's just plain old school racism, no more, no less. Just plain old school racism, nothing new. But one of the most successful tricks ever played on Black folks is to convince a large population of us that education does not matter. Why do you think people work so hard trying to convince people that higher education does not matter? It's a reason. It's a reason, as you alluded to earlier, Roland, as you were talking about Ronald Reagan and, raising the price of education. My parents met at LSU, the New Orleans campus, which is now UNO. And my daddy always tells this story about how he paid my mama's tuition. He paid my mama's tuition out of his pocket. And then fast forward, 15 years later, you have to take out a second mortgage to send your child to school, or that child gets in debt starting out their professional careers, right? So this conversation about, you uppity Negroes, trying to bring back the talent and 10th and all that stuff. At the end of the day, it is so easy, Roland and everybody on this panel, to my colleagues, to seduce angry, ignorant people. And I'm not calling folks out there ignorant, but what I'm saying is, I'm
calling it ignorant. Go ahead.
I knew you were gonna come in. I knew you were gonna come in.
I'm gonna call it ignorant.
I knew I could rely on you for that assist. What I'm saying is it's part of the strategy. It's part of the strategy to target a certain population because they are thinking of you as ignorant, right? They are thinking of you as gullible. In the social sciences, it's called conditioning, right? So you condition people to respond the way that you want them to respond. And that is what we are seeing. And we saw so much of it, Roland. We saw so much of it over, this administration, especially during those 107 days with Kamala. There was so much debate. There were people that were mad that she spent a lot of time at the HBCUs, that it was too elite. That it was too much about Divine Nine. Okay, that's fine. Maybe not. But the thing that has always bothered me, and I've stood 10 toes down on this, when people try to push back and say, well, not everybody wants to have an education. Education isn't for everybody. And I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to run a race with no shoes on. I'm just not, but I come from a community in New Orleans where higher education that's what you do. You can get married, but you for sure going to college. So I am grateful to my community for that. But this debate, Roland, I'm telling you, it is something for me as an educator. I have dedicated my life to education. And it hurts me sitting here as a Black woman that somehow we have become the enemy. That the Black expert, particularly, all experts right now are pretty much lined up against the wall, and they're ready to kind of like, but when you're Black and an expert, and when your own community doesn't have your back, somehow you become the enemy. You have been conditioned to celebrate the athlete, to celebrate the entertainer. But us three Black asses sitting up here, oh no, not us.
Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You heard what we just talked about there. Folks, I can't reiterate this enough. Listen to me clearly. I cannot reiterate this enough. When you've got technology companies running scared, when you've got legacy media not doing their job, when you've got Black-owned media that is disintegrated, now is more than ever for us to have independent media that cares about the truth, that is willing to say what needs to be said. So when you support Roland Martin Unfiltered, this show, when you support the Black Star Network, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting the other shows. Our goal is to add 2 more shows this year.
It's amazing, like the comments that be in the chat. Like I challenge. So, and again, you know, my opinions are not the opinions of Roland Martin. My opinions are not the opinion of Nancy Grace, Officer Tatum, or any of the content that I played today. You feel me? You know, basically, I just want to give people, you know, an overview of what's really going on from different aspects, from different talking points. And this is what society is based to. And then, you know, the comments in the comment section, like some of you people are ridiculous in thought. you feel me? In application and just being a fucking human being. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these comments and some of these rationalities, understandings, or whatever the hell y'all want to call whatever y'all typing in the chat. Like it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. I don't see and this, and then when we talk about racism and the division between people and politics and religion and racism and whatever, you feel me? This is why we don't get nowhere. Because all we gonna do is you gonna point the finger. You're gonna point a finger at someone and you're gonna have 3 pointing back, and then that person gonna point to accountability. We can't say this enough, man. People don't take accountability. And accountability for what shall you say? For your goddamn self and the actions and the things and the energy that you omit into this fucking world, bro. You have to. You have to take accountability, man. Look in the mirror. Like, you know what I'm saying? Educator saying, for show, LOL, black, you're a racist. What does that mean? Oh, you know what? Listen, and I'm not saying that I'm saying this, but that type of comment, you know, someone would take that type of comment and say, well, no, it's blatant apparent that you're the racist. Like a person can't have an opinion. Like this is what they think. These are their opinions. I'm not mad at them. Shit, I died. Listen. Can't nobody that's been watching tonight truly say that racism didn't exist, don't exist, and still exists. To what measures, to what degree, to each his own experience. But those things I hold true to myself because I have had my own experiences. And I'm pretty sure everyone has, right? And I want to talk about that racist day too before we get up out of here. So when we have these type of conversations, and you people call black folks racist, do you really believe that? Do you guys honestly, truly in your hearts believe that black people are racist? I mean, and I would like to know how. Listen, hit this link in the chat. Anybody. I would love, listen, and this is what I like to do. You know, you don't have to just stay in the chat. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're respectable and you show proper decorum and you want to come up here and voice your opinion, you're more than welcome to. Hit that link, man. Come on up here and speak your mind. You know, I'd rather, you know, I'd rather hear it out, you know what I'm saying, out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather hear you articulate yourself versus you typing in the chat saying, and that's okay. If you want to stay in the chat, I understand that as well. You know, that's cool. If you just want to stay in the chat and do that, I mean, that's understandable. That's quite understandable. But yeah, man, you know, before we get up out of here, man, I want to give some people some time to come up here and speak their mind. If you've never been up here, you're more than welcome to come. You know, like I say, open panel, open discussion. You know, it's a lot of crazy, messed up things going on in this world. And when we formulate opinions and ideologies that are conducive to your own self survival or your own self needs, how is that really helping anybody? How? It's not. It's not. It's not helping no one. You know, type it in my chat. saying a lot of the things that you guys say. And again, for the most part, it's been respectable, and I get it. Everybody has, an understanding about things. You feel me? And who am I, or who is anybody else to say that you're wrong? You feel the way you feel for whatever reason you feel that way. You know what I'm saying? But is it justifiable? Can you logically explain? Are there things or points that can be agreed upon? It's a lot of things that go with a lot of the statements that's been said tonight. Listen, I hope you guys enjoyed the publication, man. You feel me? We do this every Saturday to Sunday, man. We got something going on every day at the Strong. Hit that like button, share me out. Listen, also, man, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, man, and hit that like button. And come through, you know what I'm saying? And check us out and see what's going on. Also, man, we got a 3-tip membership tier, man. Make sure y'all join one of them memberships, man. Man, they help a small channel grow, we just don't do Nolan Wells and Roland. And I particularly don't even care for Roland Martin. I particularly don't even care for Don Lemon. I particularly don't even care for Nancy Grace. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me, though. For some people like them, some people don't. I'm just here, to give my opinion on what I hear, and to share things that come out in the media and in the news that can weigh heavy on society. That's it. That's all. I'm not here to push the agenda of racism, bigotry, and prejudice. I'm not here to push the belief in popular public opinion. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to push and understand facts, logic, and genuineness. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. And I think those are some of the qualities that we're going to need to move forward in this world. We got 2 more years of Donald Trump being in office. Some people say that's a good thing. Some people say that's a bad thing. You feel me? Just be prepared. If you do the things that you're supposed to do to prepare yourself. And I know others have it, harder than some. I know that, there are obstacles and things that are in some of our ways that are not in other, ways, and they get to, they finish line quicker than you may. But don't give up. Keep striving, keep going, stay strong. And I know it's hard in this world, man, because it's easier said than done. And I know a lot of us don't have a support system or support teams. And, that's one of the things that I encourage, support, sprinkle a little support on top of everything, man, because it go a long way. And for those who don't know how to give or show, or receive support, man, let's talk about it. Let's see what you can do better. Let's analyze the things that maybe you thought you done incorrectly and see how we can correct them. And move forward with it, man. You feel me? Listen, man, I try to, create a community peace sector over here. I try to keep it thorough. I try to keep it respectful. So, again, we're all inclusive. I don't care what color you are, what religion you are, what flag you fly. If you want to come up and talk, it's freedom of speech. As long as it's respectable, as long as it's done in proper decorum, with proper decorum. Man, listen, intellectual discourse is always a must. Effective communication is always a good thing to be had amongst, the people. So, that's the way we're going to keep it. That's the way we should keep it. So, man, it's a lot of issues and problems out here today, man. And I don't claim to have all the answers or solutions beyond the surface level. But I do like to go deep and dive beyond surface levels to really get to the, problem of the issues. But, sometimes, man, that's easier said than done. But we just got to keep moving forward, man. And I don't want to be repetitive and keep repeating myself. But yeah, man, we got to move forward. We got to do better. At some point, something has to change. At some point, we want to see the end goal at that finish line. We want to see the finish line and get to our end goal. And again, man, we just got to support each other, man. We just got to be willing to trust and know that is everyone is not, not the same, man. I get it. A few bad apples spoil a bunch, but if that didn't come from me, didn't come from us. It came from somewhere other than where we are. Well, but with that being said, man, listen, y'all, I enjoyed y'all. Listen, make sure y'all tune in tomorrow for Wild Ass Wednesday, man. 9 p.m. Central Time. We're going to come back at you. you know, and you know what I'm saying, try to continue to give y'all good conversation and good content. With that being said, man, we out of here. Two Wheels.
Yeah.
Hey, man, give us a few words of inspiration, man, to the people before we get up out of here.
We stronger together, man. We stronger together.
We're stronger together, man. And I believe in that, too. I believe we're stronger together. You know, regardless of race, creed, color, nationality, ethnicity, we are stronger together. And the problems that we're going to face in the future, we're going to need each other. So all this division and all these divisive measures that's being implemented in our societies, we just got to stand against it. I didn't see socialism in the chat today. You know, socialism, listen, the United States Corporation of America is based upon all of those things. Socialism, communism, capitalism, whatever got an ism at the end of it, we operate up under it. You know what I'm saying? And whichever one we feel the need to use or to get ahead or that help us, you know what I'm saying, push our agenda along, we attach ourselves to it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it is what it is. But with that being said, man, y'all know what I like to say, man. I'm going to leave y'all how I came to ya. Let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. Once again, family, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. And lastly, family, let's keep everyone in our thoughts, our prayers, our views, and meditations. Cito Boy says, nothing changes if nothing changes. Hey, that's hey, real shit. Hey, nothing changes if nothing changes. That's real shit. If you don't make it, listen, that Cito, I couldn't have said that better. You know what I'm saying? Nothing changes if nothing changes. Man, hold on, I gotta get.
That should have been my thing.
Words of wisdoms brought to you by Cito Boy. Nothing changes.
Man.
If nothing changes, goddamn it, you feel me? But yeah, man, that's true, man. That couldn't have been more true. Good night, Miss CC. Appreciate you for tuning in, man. Listen, and don't forget to master these 5 key components of life. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. That's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And one last time, family, before we get up out of here, that's love, peace, respect, motivation, and inspiration. And don't forget to E40 that thing, man, and sprinkle a little support on top, because a little support go a long, 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 long way, y'all. Listen, man, all superheroes don't wear capes, but they still need their theme music. So to all my superheroes, all my Beardonians, and all my beautiful people, man, y'all know what it is before we get up out of here, man. Those that fuck with us, fuck with us. Those that don't, fuck with us anyway. And don't forget, man, go support those who support me, because I support them until further notice, man. And with that being said, peace, abundance, and love, y'all.
Guys, my name is Cito. You already know that, dog. This the hottest show you gon' find around. If young niggas ain't known, you need to ask around. This is bearded conversation. It's all love and no hate. Around here we good, but we aim to be great. Dip back in the debate. Enjoy your Scooby snacks. Around here we just talk about this and all that. We talking real life every day and every night. And if you need to clear the air, you can bring your wife. We got church on Sunday, that's on the west side. We got virtual reality, in case you're scared of outside. See, we got what you need, and that's a guarantee. The best thing about it is absolutely free. Bearded conversations, all love ain't no haters. Enjoy Scooby snacks, while we get back to the baby. Don't matter if you black or white. Who you think is wrong or who is right. These are just opinions, some inside from a different walk of life. Yeah. See, my name is Cito. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, buy this man a coffee. Don't forget to lead over follow. Don't forget to love those that love you. never forget that you ain't never been richer than you are right now.
Like the video, man. Thumb up the video, man. Like the video, man. Thumb up the video, man.
And like he said, Fambo, man, salute to Fambo, man. We about to get ready to end it, man. My brother say salute to the people on this Wisdom Wednesday morning. Yeah, that I mean, you hear me. Big shout out to Jacob 52. Speaking of that, y'all, also, we do a wrestling podcast, Two Hills STS, for all my wrestling fans out there. Man, we talk all things WWE, Monday Night Raw, all PLEs, and all Friday Night SmackDowns, Two Hills STS, on YouTube. My partner J-Dub, Nike fan, man, make sure y'all tap in. We will be going live this Friday before Friday Night SmackDown. So make sure y'all tap in. Hey man, listen, big ups to Miss Nam Bernstein, man, for grabbing one of them memberships, man. I appreciate that, man. Listen, man. Hey man, see, that's what I'm saying, man. That's my whole goal. My goal ain't to push the bullshit, man. My goal is to, be able to talk to people on all different levels, man, to come together to see how we can solve problems, see how we can work together to do away with this so-called prejudice, this so-called bigotry, this so-called racism, this so-called division that we got amongst each other, man. Listen, and just because you don't like some of the things, we can get over that. We most definitely can get over that, man. Big shout out, man, for my new member, man. Big shout out. Hey, man. But y'all know what I like to say before I get up out of here, man. Listen, y'all, when we come together, may we always meet on a level. Once we in each other's presence, may we always be humble and plumb. And when we leave each other's presence, may we always part on the square. Some more to be, some more to be, some more to be. So may it be, family. Peace, man. Hey, before I go, big shout out to all my Facebook, all my Kick, all my Twitch, and all my YouTube supporters, man. Don't forget to give me a like, follow, and share on each platform if you can. And enjoy yourself and enjoy the content and the conversation when you come over, man. Y'all know what it is. Same brown time, same brown channel. Y'all come brown now. You hear? Peace.